Yeah, there's my praises. Yeah, title of the lesson: A Show of Strength. Hashtag SATC. Something about this captivity. A horse is a vain thing for safety. No mighty man is delivered by much strength. Yet they that know their lure shall do exploits. Ephesians chapter 6, 10 through 13. Let's grab that. Ephesians 6, verse 10. Finally, my brethren, be strong in the Adonai and in the power of his might. Put on the whole armor of Yah, that you may be able to stand against the wiles of the wicked one. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. Wherefore, take unto you the whole armor of Yah, that you may be able to withstand any evil day, and having done all, to stand. Short passage, but it's deep. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood. It's so easy to forget that. We can get blinded by a moment of emotions and feel like the person talking to us is against us. Not because what they're saying is wrong, but because what they're saying ain't what we want to hear in the moment. Doesn't add comfort. Not realizing that often, speaking from my own experience, I'll be operating out of fear. Not realizing how in a moment something done happen, shock my system, but not for the betterment, but for the worst. And now I'm operating out of fear, don't want to hear what the person across from me is saying. And now momentarily they my enemy. Not because they're wrong, but because I'm overlooking the fact that I'm wrong. Finally, my brethren, be strong in the Adonai and in the power of his might. The show of strength is an open demonstration of power by display of a great number of people and or resources, according to Internet Dictionary. Can y'all think of any examples of a show of strength? Take it away, Maestro.
Oh, most immediately I can think of a show of strength being like those military parades. Yeah, the military parades that to show, oh, this is what we got as far as our military is concerned. This faction, and then this is this faction, and they got this uniform on, and they got
Yeah, or Muslim brothers back in the day, around the time of the Panthers, they would come out and have a whole brigade showing how orderly they are. In the movie version of the autobiography of Malcolm X.
even that you brought up the Panthers.
Mm-hmm.
Even the Panthers.
Come on, a show of strength.
Mm-hmm.
Now we'll look at those examples and flip it, and let's think of ways that we can make a show of strength, but in the Most High, because that's what this lesson is mostly about. That's what we're being called forth to do.
Showing ourselves strong in the power of you who is might.
Precisely.
us to think of ways to show ourselves strong in the power of Yahuwah's might.
Yeah, absolutely.
How are we doing that? Okay. Oh no, I'm gonna need a minute to think. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Okay. I apologize. Yeah. All praises. Toda. Okay, so I won't be the only one answering questions and stuff. If somebody else want to answer. Yes, what are ways that we show strength and the power of Yahuwah's might?
So I guess me thinking about any other displays of strength that we saw, the power was in the unity. So literally, that's what they're displaying, is that we are united.
Mhm.
And so you ain't just gonna be able to come over here and get off what you think you're gonna get off, whether if we was just one by one or whatever the case. So like translating it over into the spiritual, if we can be on a united front with the Most High, then how does that translate? What does the display of strength look like with us flexing the unity with the Most High? Because it's just like it was with the, I don't know if I was gonna go here or not, with the situation with was it Alicia or Elijah? One of them, where he like, nah, uncover his eyes and
Elijah,
see
yeah,
who is
like-
with us. Like,
Yeah.
so yeah, all praises. Like, yeah, that's kind of where my mind goes with it.
I think about instantly resisting Satan, resisting the adversary. So that shows the strength with that you're using the strength that the Most High has given you by resisting the adversary, not heeding or taking, not heeding his tricks or giving into his tricks. Staying focused on the task put before you, not getting distracted. Of course, scripture, reading, prayer time, making sure you're staying strong within the word of the Father so you can be able to have that strength from Yahuwah. So the big thing is when you see the adversary coming, how he coming, show your strength, show your power. Nah, I ain't gonna fall for that. And resist him so he can flee.
Okay, so that's told unity, resistance, like you said, via word, via routine, prayer. And I guess what comes to my mind is the discipline. Showing yourself strong in Yahuwah through his strength, through the power of his might, by showing yourself disciplined, by showing yourself not easily, like you said, resisted in Hashatan, showing yourself not easily fooled or not easily swayed, ready for all Yali discourse, of course, but not being easily swayed by every wind of doctrine, number one, by not allowing dainties and small insignificant things to sway or gifts and dainties, I should say, not letting gifts and dainties sway your heart, sway your judgment, sway your reasoning, let you become a respecter of persons or what have you, whatever. Just showing yourself disciplined. And to me, that's immediately what comes to my mind as a way and method of showing yourself strong in the power of Yahuwah's might, because he is a Yah of order. He is an El of order. and of discipline. And how can you get to the wide things if you don't first go through the straight and through the narrow? So if we aren't disciplined, how can we reap the benefits of life? Because we would, and I liken it to food all the time, because this is the one that I use for children, my kids all the time, because it's so readily understandable and available. Like if I let you eat sugar all the time, if I let you have what you wanted all the time, sweets, popsicles, candy, cake, pies, cookies, all of that, get your baby D on. If I let you do that, what kind of parent would I be, and how would your life be? Because would you be able to eat anything else? And up to, what would happen with your teeth? They'll fall out. So would that be toe or evil of me as a parent to just let you allow your teeth to fall out like that, to let you get all these health problems like that, So if you don't discipline yourself, toe things, and sweet things, and, is told every once in a while, but show yourself disciplined now so that you can reap the benefit of life later. And so, yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's excellent, because that's basically what when the military is marching and doing all that stuff during the parades, like that's literally what they're displaying. Like it's not just like a random haphazard unity. Like, nah, the unity, the message that they send in with their unity is we discipline. Like we step in, like you see. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Yeah, and the Malcolm X movie, when he pointed his finger and the men just turned and marched, like, no, such and such should have that much power. Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting because in the scripts you see the Most High and his shows of strength, like the example you brought up, the scales fell off his eyes and he was able to see the encampment. And then there's examples where men put on a show of strength. King David made a show of strength when he sent 3 mighty men for water that he later poured out. We're gonna visit that briefly and then again later. So let's grab 2 Samuel 23, 14 through 16. Second Samuel chapter 23, verse 14. And David was then in an hold, and the garrison of the Philistines was then in Bethlehem. And David longed and said, "Oh, that one would give me drink of the water of the well of Bethlehem, which is by the gate." And the 3 mighty men brake through the host of the Philistines and drew water out of the well of Bethlehem that was by the gate, and took it and brought it to David. Nevertheless, he would not drink thereof, but poured it out unto the Adonai. For a long time, I was like, but why? What's the point? My father brought it to my attention a few days ago. Like, when you understood what King David understood, you'll see that it was just a show of strength, but not in the sense to where arrogance could come from it, because it wasn't his own strength being displayed. Let's grab Psalm 108, verse 13. Psalm 108, verse 13.
Just saying this makes me think that about power sometimes being exercised in restraint.
Precisely. Yeah.
While we're not to take it in a whole left field or anything, but just in regards to what you just said, I've seen videos and stuff on social media where unfortunate situations happen, um, namely infidelity. And just looking at the video where the person, the man who was the victim of his spouse being, adulterous. But at the same time, like looking at that, and I'm like, man, that guy is that, yeah, that's a powerful man right there. That's a man who is strong in himself, in himself and comfortable in himself, to not have flipped out on that woman, because it's very easy to go with your emotion, to go with your first mind. It's very easy to become wrathful and vengeful and violent. It is extremely easy. But at the end of the transaction, for people who do that, like it's never looked at in a total of respect for the man who does that to a woman. But flip side, when he doesn't do that, it is always like, to me at least, it's to his glory. It's like, man, yeah, you were done wrong and you showed restraint, because you could have easily just went off on that woman and you didn't. But you did what needed to be done. You told her about herself and she's gone now. You took care of business in another way. But I'm just bringing that up because, like you said, to show restraint, that's power. Extreme, that's an extremely Tove display of power right there. Like, you got the power to do harm to this person, but then you don't. All praises be unto the Most High.
Yeah, it shows a level of wisdom, because once your emotions are gone and you're just stuck with the results of your actions, you will have done more harm to yourself than to the other individual, especially you being a male and that being a female. But in a sober mind, you yourself might be like, ain't no excuse in the world.
Mm-hmm. Like, if you would even seen somebody else do that, you probably would have had words for them, like, oh no, da, da, da.
Mm-hmm.
In that situation,
Yeah, all praises. Yeah, show strength. Psalm 108 and verse 13. Through Yahuwah, we should do valiantly, for he it is that shall tread down our enemies. This is something that King Dawid very well understood. With that in mind, if you go back and look at the passage we just read, you're like, oh, yeah, that might have even been used to later on boost the morale of the men. Like, you remember when? Like, it's because the Father is for us. 3 men broke through the host of the Philistines. Okay, yeah. Psalm 33. Psalm 33, 1 through 22. Psalm 33. Rejoice in the Adonai, O ye righteous, for praise is comely for the upright. Praise the Adonai with harp, sing unto him with the psaltery and an instrument of 10 strings. Sing unto him a new song, play skillfully with a loud noise. For the word of the Adonai is right, and all his works are done in truth. He loves righteousness and judgment. The earth is full of the toldness of the Adonai. By the word of the Adonai were the heavens made, and all the host of them by the breath of his mouth. He gathered the waters of the sea together as an heap. He layeth up the depth in storehouses. Let all the earth fear the Adonai. Let all the inhabitants of the world stand in awe of him. For he spake, and it was done. He commanded, and it stood fast. The Adonai bringeth the counsel of the heathen to naught. He maketh the devices of the people of none effect. To know and to understand that will allow us to operate in more strength than in weakness. Because constantly, like, how often do we hear rumors about what's being done in the world that's going to make things harder for us? How often do we see plans laid out? Agenda this, project that. Stuff has already been carried out. But to know for a fact, not wavering. Verse 10, the Adonai brings the counsel of the heathen to naught. He makes the devices of the people of none effect. Then we can stay focused on the task that he's given us and not flinch and deviate from the plan when we really understand this. The counsel of the Adonai stands forever. The thoughts of his heart to all generations. Isn't that why there's even an awakening happening? Counsel of the Adonai stands forever. Thoughts of his heart to all generations. Blessed is the nation whose allure is the Adonai, and the people whom he hath chosen for his own inheritance. The Adonai looks from heaven, he beholds all the sons of men. From the place of his habitation, he looks upon all the inhabitants of the earth. He has fashioned their hearts alike, he considereth all their works. There is no king save by the multitude of an host. The mighty man is not delivered by much strength. An horse is a vain thing for safety, neither shall he deliver any by his strength. Behold, the eye of the Adonai is upon them that fear him, upon them that hope in his mercy. Behold, the eye of the Adonai is upon them that fear him, upon them that hope in his mercy. How easy is it for us to slide into a moment of fear? But that fear is not of the Most High. Of the circumstances, of what somebody else might think of me. Pick one. It's of a spider. It cause you to throw your purse in the car without looking and land right on somebody's food. Then that other person got to be like, you know what? That's a dumb thing to get upset about.
Pocket knife. All right. It just happened before we came.
It's easy to slide into fear and that fear not be of the Most High. But that's a dangerous place to be in because it says, behold, the eye of the Adonai is upon them that fear him. Now, how is he going to defend us if he ain't looking at us because we're not fearing him, but fearing something else?
Slice and dice. Cut me up. Cut.
May Yahuwah be praised because we are being given a warning, we're given an admonishment and an encouragement all in one. He's saying that we need to show ourselves strong in him, especially in this hour and in the hours moving forward. There's some things that I don't even know if we can imagine them that may roll out. They may not, but if they do, it behooves us to practice girding ourselves up, trusting him enough not to be shifted around by fear that's not rooted in him. Let's try and make it simple. Behold, the eye of the Adonai is upon them that fear him, upon them that hope in his mercy, to deliver their soul from death and to keep them alive in famine. Our soul waits for the Adonai. He is our help and our shield. For our heart shall rejoice in him, because we have trusted in his holy name. Let thy mercy, O Adonai, be upon us, according as we hope in thee. Brief recap: fear him, hope in him, wait for him. Let's grab Sirach chapter 2. Ecclesiasticus chapter 2, 1 through 18. Yes, sir. It's just the whole chapter. Sirach chapter 2. My son, if thou come to serve the Adonai, prepare thy soul for temptation. In other words, if you want to fall in the ranks on the most high side, you're going to be tested in order to be proven. So prepare yourself. Set thy heart aright and constantly endure, and make not haste in time of trouble. What's some of the dangers of making haste in time of trouble? Running into a snare, running into a trap.
Yeah, running off a cliff, just not being in the right place at the right time because you moving instead of sitting still.
Exactly. Exactly. What are some of the dangers of making haste in time of trouble? When we've already been told, if you come to serve the Adonai, prepare thy soul for temptation. Set your heart aright, constantly endure, make not haste in time of trouble.
You can experience the wrath of Yahuwah. He can, utterly destroy if he chooses to. You would be on the wrong side of Yahuwah.
What comes to my mind is making haste in a time of trouble, and make not haste in a time of trouble. So thinking about it in my mind, it's like, all right, you in some hot water. Oh, let me hurry up and get on up out of here. Let me hurry up and do. No, stay where you are. Let the storm pass, because you might be running with the trouble instead of letting it pass over you, instead of letting it run its course or whatever may be happening. Okay. So let's say you get into a situation with an Ak or Akoti or something like that. It's something, whatever. So make not haste in time of trouble. Let us say it's a matter of the tongue. Somebody slip up, say something or something like that. It's offensive and blah, blah, blah. Instead of making haste and, oh, well, I just ain't finna fool with them no more. I just ain't finna blah, blah, blah. What da 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 da. No, let the trouble pass. Like, stick around long enough to understand, was this just a slip? What was it, something said intentionally? Was it this, that, and the third? Because now you about to lose an Ak or an Akoti when you don't even have to. You about to make an enemy where should be none made. So you might risk, something like that. And I'm just giving like an example because that's just what comes to my mind.
Then too, you can miss the lesson or the purpose behind the trouble. The reason why the trouble occurred, it could be due to your fault or not to your fault. You will never know unless you actually go through that trouble. So don't make haste to get so quickly out of it. Let it be a self-reflection point. Okay, let me evaluate and see. Okay, let me think. this is occurring. Have I done something wrong? Pray. I'll be, like I always say, show me, is it because of, is this like a judgment period, or it's just a testing period to make, to make me stronger? Like just things like that. So maybe seek Abiyah for the determination of the trouble, and take that time, even though it could be hard, take that time to kind of dwell, okay, why am I here? What can I learn from it? The lesson behind it.
Kind of going back to what we were looking at earlier with this, with a display of strength or power, makes me think about like herd animals. So like in a time of trouble, the one who is hasty in that moment is the one that gets picked off. But the strength is in staying grounded, staying solid. The wolf or lion or whatever, like there's a reason why their tactics are the way that they are. And to get the whole pack, in a frenzy, just in chaos, instead of just standing their ground. Anytime you ever see where they just stand their ground, like lions get mangled. Because this is a beast that's 2, 3 times, 4 times the weight of it. They have the upper hand. They just don't realize they have the upper hand. But if they don't, make haste in the time of trouble, and then one bust out and then everybody bust out, and then now it's just chaos, then now you opened up to get picked off, one by one, because you just stepped away from basically where your strength was. Your strength was in staying grounded in that place.
Saying we're stronger together. I just think about, for me, Ish, like in the union, you know what I mean? Like both got to be grounded in the word of Yah, especially when those troubles come. Because if one goes off the path, then it's like it may cause the other one to get weary, or, adversary can come in. But if we're both strong and saying that, in that strength of Yahuwah, then we can endure and get through it together.
I mean, the other perspective of like a threefold cord is not easily broken. Like it's actually, it's better off that way. If one start going, maybe I can pull your coattail a little bit and say, hey, nah, hold on, are you sure? I don't think you want to jump out there right now. Hold off a little bit longer, because if we stand our ground, they're gonna go about their business. But yeah. So yeah.
I was gonna just laying back on what y'all were talking about and saying that absolutely I think another reason to not be hasty in a time of trouble, just like laying back off of what each of you were kind of saying, is that okay? So what if the trouble, like I was saying earlier, passes and you're running right with the trouble and whatnot? Also, though, what if you're in the midst of that chaos and you being hasty, like sis was saying, you're supposed to, pray and see what you can learn from this. But not only that, what if you miss the opportunity to pray for somebody else in that chaos? What if you miss the opportunity to do toll for somebody else in the midst of that chaos or in the midst of that trouble, because you're being hasty? Like you thinking about, well, I don't want to get messed up in this. I don't want to be, whatever. But then you miss the opportunity to, like sis was saying, seek the Most High about it and see, no, this is where the trouble is coming from, and this is why the trouble is coming. Pray for that person's strength in the midst of that, whether it involves you or not, whether they said something that was offensive to you or not. If you're in the Most High, you're best not to be offended by that, because you already know it's not them, it's the spirit within them. See past the words. Pray for that person. Pray for that the wall, the hedge of protection around that person to be built up, because you know this is where they lack. They're saying this because this is how they're feeling on the inside about themselves, and they're projecting. Father, help them in this area. Boom, boom, boom. Thank you for allowing me to be the one here, because I am strong enough to deal with this. And but if you're being hasty, you're not gonna be able to help that person. You're not gonna be able to pray for that person. You're not gonna be able to see what the issue is in order to be effective, or in order to show yourself mighty in the strength of Yahweh.
Yeah, all those responses, all that input is right on time. It's definitely important to pay attention to, because in this walk, it's one of the things that's often lacking, is remembering that we don't war against flesh and blood. So if that's the case, I shouldn't take it so personally from the person, but realize that there's a strong spiritual influence. Yes, they are responsible for having the door open, but why is the door open? Why is that a weak area? And why am I privy to it? What is it about my function that I'm supposed to operate in this moment, if at all? It brings to mind Galatians 6:1. It says, brethren, if a man be overtaken in a fault, you which are spiritual, restore such an one in a spirit of meekness, considering yourself, lest you also be tempted. Recognizing that there are spiritual things taking place, and there's spiritual edification that's needed, of course, in the proper season. Like it says, not to reprove a man when he is drunk. So if somebody's still drunk in their emotions, that ain't the time. Yeah, make not haste in time of trouble. Cleave unto him and depart not away, that you may be increased at your last end. Whatsoever is brought upon you, take cheerfully and be patient when you are changed to a low state. It could be a low state because you feel humiliated. It could be a low state because somebody talking reckless. It could be a low state because finances is low. But knowing that your mission is to serve the Most High, look at it as a test, do your best to trust him in the midst of whatever it is. For gold is tried in the fire, and acceptable men in the furnace of adversity. Believe in him, and he will help you. Order your way of right, and trust in him. Ye that fear the Adonai, wait for his mercy, and go not aside, lest you fall. You said you might run right off a cliff. Indeed. Ye that fear the Adonai, believe him, and your reward shall not fail. Ye that fear the Adonai, hope for told, and for everlasting joy and mercy. Look at the generations of old, and see, did ever any trust in the Adonai and was confounded? Or did any abide in his fear and was forsaken? Or was it that whenever one was forsaken, they had deviated from fearing the Most High? So we got to be careful to pay attention. When we're operating out of fear, what is that fear of? Because if it's not directly him, we might be headed in the wrong direction. Or did any abide in his fear and was forsaken? Or whom did he ever despise that called upon him? For the Adonai is full of compassion and mercy, long-suffering and very pitiful, and forgives sins and saves in time of affliction. Woe be to fearful hearts and faint hands, and the sinner that goes two ways. double-minded man, unstable in all his ways, fearful hearts and faint hands. Woe unto him that is faint-hearted, for he believes not. Therefore shall he not be defended. That's cold, but it's factual. For he believes not, therefore shall he not be defended. So Most High might give you a promise, and then another report comes in from elsewhere. Could be with documentation and everything, but it behooves us to believe the promise of the Most High over whatever report. Because as a brother was saying in his personal testimony just the other day, Most High has the power to change the heart of a king. It's in his hands to change the heart of a king. Woe unto you that have lost patience. Another big one. What will you do when the Adonai shall visit you? They that fear the Adonai will not disobey his word, and they that love him will keep his ways. They that fear the Adonai will seek that which is well pleasing unto him, and they that love him shall be filled with the law. They that fear the Adonai will prepare their hearts and humble their souls in his sight, saying, we will fall into the hands of the Adonai and not into the hands of men. For as his mercy, for as his majesty is, so is his mercy. In other words, we might as well do it the Most High's way, because at least with him, we might receive some mercy. You know how man is cut. All right, moving on. Let's grab Psalms 20. Psalm chapter 20. Verses 1 through 9. Psalm 20. The Adonai hear thee in the day of trouble. The name of the Elul of Jacob defend thee. Send thee help from the sanctuary, and strengthen thee out of Zion. Remember all thy offerings, and accept thy burnt sacrifice. Selah. Don't seem like it, but that's a big deal. Question being, just because we give an offering or make a sacrifice, does that mean it's going to be accepted? No, not at all. One place he compared the sacrifices to cutting off a dog's neck or murdering a man when it was just slaughtering an animal, because it's not what he had asked for. It's not what was approved. All praises. Remember all thy offerings and accept thy burnt sacrifice. Selah. Grant thee according to thine own heart, and fulfill all thy counsel. We will rejoice in thy salvation, and in the name of our Lord, we will set up banners. The Adonai fulfill all thy petitions. What's that saying? We will set up banners. They're like homecoming court banners, or show and tell in the auditorium banners. Like, what's this talking about? It said we will set up banners in his name.
I sound like capture the flag. Yeah, like I'm thinking like you see it, you see our flags over here, we over here.
Yeah, like a military campaign.
Mm-hmm.
Precisely.
Makes me think of like when the camp of Yasharal, in the Old Testament, when they moved, there was three tribes on each side, and each had their own banner. They had a sign, they had a flag, like you said, they had a symbol or a token that showed who they were, where they belong, and under whose tutelage or, jurisdiction they were under. And that's what it brings to my mind again, the same thing. Like, we're gonna set up a sign, we're gonna let you know it's an outward show of whose governance we're under. What set we rep, basically.
I mean, because how often when a threat comes in, does nobody show up to the battlefront? We will rejoice in thy salvation, and in thy name, in the name of our Allure, we will set up our banners. The Adonai fulfill all thy petitions. Now know I that the Adonai saves his anointed. He will hear from him. Forgive me. He will hear him from his holy heaven with the saving strength of his right hand. Some trust in chariots, some trust in horses, but we will remember the name of the Adonai, our Allure. They are brought down and fallen, but we are risen and stand upright. Save Adonai. Let the king hear us when we call. And when we're doing our best to stay grounded, we're setting up our banners in his name. Job, when he hadn't sinned with his mouth, his display was a show of strength. He had set up banners in the name of the Adonai, our Lord. He was warring on the battlefront. When, in another sense, he was just maintaining his ground. And that's all we're asked. That's all that is asked of us, moment to moment. It's not to lose the ground that he has given us. Let's grab Daniel 11, verses 30 through 32. Daniel 11, 30 through 32. Daniel 11 and 30. For the ships of Chittim shall come against him, therefore he shall be grieved and return and have indignation against the holy covenant. So shall he do. He shall even return and have intelligence with them that forsake the holy covenant. And arms shall stand on his part, and they shall pollute the sanctuary of strength, and shall take away the daily sacrifice, and they shall place the abomination that maketh desolate. And such as do wickedly against the covenant shall he corrupt by flatteries. But the people that do know their allure shall be strong and do exploits. So even when a time where literally, physically, you cannot match up to the enemy's forces, if you know your allure and you've been walking uprightly, you can still have a dog in the fight. And that's our goal. It's through him and his might to be strong, to be able to move, make the best of a bad situation. Psalm 37. Psalm chapter 37. Yes, sir. 1 through 40. Whereas the Father is trying to build us up rockily, the enemy's going to keep coming at that flesh, trying to keep you thinking through your flesh, acting through your flesh. weighing out the situation according to the flesh. But for us, for those that are believers, that's not our best move. It's a part of our calculations, but not the end all be all. Psalm 37. Fret not thyself because of evildoers, neither be thou envious against the workers of iniquity. For they shall soon be cut down like grass, and wither as the green herb. Trust in the Adonai and do told. So shalt thou dwell in the land, and verily shall be fed. Trust in the Adonai and do told. So shalt thou dwell in the land, and verily thou shalt be fed. So even when there's informants amongst us that go against the covenant, and they get rewards to do so, trust in the Adonai and do told, so shalt thou dwell in the land, and verily thou shalt be fed. In other words, if you continue to esteem the Father, he's not going to forget you. Delight thyself also in the Adonai, and he shall give thee the desires of thine heart. Commit thy way unto the Most High. Trust also in him, and he shall bring it to pass. And he shall bring forth your righteousness as the light, and your judgment as the noonday. Rest in the Adonai, and wait patiently for him. Fret not yourself because of him who prospers in his way, because of the man who brings wicked devices to pass. Cease from anger and forsake wrath. Fret not yourself in any wise to do evil. Now there's a tall task. Cease from anger and forsake wrath. Fret not yourself in any wise to do evil. We're talking about trying to show forth strength in the midst of an assault that's coming at you physically and spiritually, or ruachically. Why is it not to our benefit to be angry or wrathful? So why would it not be to our benefit to be angry or wrathful?
Like that, the anger of man worketh not the righteousness of Elohim. And oftentimes, and speaking of anger, it's not a just anger. A lot of times it's a unrighteous indignation. Oftentimes it's just based off of a complete lapse in how the flesh feels. And dealing with that, you're not gonna be justified.
Mishley or Proverbs chapter 18 verses, I'm gonna say 4 through 8 says, the words of a man's mouth are deep waters. The fountain of wisdom is a flowing stream. It is not good to show partiality to the wrong or to turn aside the righteous and right ruling. Verse 6, a fool's lips enter into strife, and his mouth calls for blows. A fool's mouth is his ruin, and his lips are the snare of his life. And so to me, that would be you're considered a fool if you operate that way. And if you're angry, then you're not thinking clearly. Or you can make mistakes that way. if you're making mistakes, then it's almost like you're veering off the path, the narrow path that Abihu was putting you on. Like its purpose, like your mistakes occur, but when you're purposely making mistakes, that kind of hit differently. And it's all because of that self-control, like we were talking about the week before, or maybe last week, having self-control. Be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to anger. If you do that, then you can control your being, because we're all going to be held accountable for what we say and do anyway. It's going to be written down in our own books. So it's better to dwell, keep quiet. And then it talks about how a wise man is able to, control his speech, be able to hold his tongue, not just be a fool and just start speaking out. So yeah, it shows your what kind of level of wisdom that you're at.
Says even a fool is counted wise when they keep their mouth shut. I was looking for a couple of scripts here, and I found them. So why can you say the question again one more time? Why would it not be good to show anger? Or
Yeah, why would it not be to our benefit to be angry or wrathful, even in the midst of an assault?
all praises. Well, first reason I'll say is scripture. Excuse me, Ecclesiasticus or Sirach 23. Verse 16, 2 sorts of men multiply sin, and a third will bring wrath. A hot mind is as a burning fire. It will never be quenched till it be consumed. A fornicator in the body of his flesh will never cease till he hath kindled a fire. And the third one is talking about a whoremonger. But those two, that scripture speaks to those type of people multiplying sin. So it's not to our benefit because it just multiplies sin. We're advised in another area of the book, do not be comfortable with adding sin on top of sin. And so where you have an issue, now when you're in the midst of the issue and you add anger and wrath on top of it, now you multiplying it. When instead of being a peacemaker, blessed are, Baruch are those who are peacemakers. No, you adding sin on top of sin, you multiplying or you're compounding the issue instead of trying to be a peacemaker or instead of trying to find resolution. It, like you said, the wrath of man does not work the will of the Most High. It doesn't bring forth what the Most High is trying to bring forth. It's only going to compound the issue. And then also one that I like to get to quite often, talking about wrath or anger is Sirach 10:18. It's not beneficial for us because pride was not made for men, nor furious anger for them that were born of a woman. The Most High talks about those things of his, those entities of his that do go forth and work his will, that do go forth and take out his wrath on whomever, wherever, and whatever. We are, of course, his vessels to be used, but are we to be his wrath? No, that was not made for us. When we are in that, that feel or that emotion, that state of being, like sis said, we liable to make mistakes. Like you brought out earlier in that script, we're not working the will of the Most High. So that's not our position to play. He has things for that take out his wrath. No, we have a specific, specialized sniper type of job to do. No emotions involved, or no emotions necessary, especially not wrath, not malice, not anger, none of that. We have a job to do. That's not included in it. It wasn't made for us. It was made for something else completely.
I'm just a Septuagint.
Shalom, Elder. If you could mute, that would be
I'm
appreciated.
sorry, I thought I was on mute. I apologize.
I also thought about Proverbs 15 says that a soft answer turns away wrath, but a harsh word stirs up displeasure. When I think about you're wrathful and then someone else's wrath, you can cause somebody to stumble or cause yourself to stumble. So let's say your brother is wrathful, like I was saying, even if to fault. If somebody is wrathful at you, gentle answers turns away wrath. Respond in a soft, gentle way. You can now accountability is there. You're able to express control. Then maybe in the end, the other person can be like, you know what? Okay. Sometimes and learn, all right, let me calm down. I'm tripping. And that can get them in the right space back to, in the Father, because we are our brother's keeper. So if you're, responsible for yourself and other people, you see somebody in a wrathful state, and they're coming at you sideways, then you respond in a nice, gentle, kind way, will hopefully bring them back to the right state of being in a righteous headspace, to where now, the Father can be able to, like he says, vengeance is mine. He doesn't have to deal with you, but the other, because, you dealt with it the right way. As Yahusha said, there's a way that you deal with it. You go to your brother, talk about it. If he doesn't listen, so forth, grab witnesses and then grab the assembly, things like that. But it's just, I would say, like your response, having a gentle response turns away wrath. And I've noticed that when I do that, it really does work. It works. It does.
Spiritual warfare.
Made me remember what the point was that I was thinking. Like you'll operate out of wrath will cut you off from your own mercy.
Come on.
Like you'll cause him to have wrath against you, because like he said, don't let any of us think we got all the boxes checked. Like, lest you gonna be the one that's gonna fall. Like, don't boast. Like, don't be walking in arrogance. Lest you turn around and you gonna be the one that is gonna come on. Like, you gonna get all of the business, because we know what you measure out is what you'll get measured back to you.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, and it's nobody that's more justified in anger and wrath than the Most High.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it ain't nobody that is more justified in a righteous indignation than him.
Mm-hmm.
And yet he ain't pulled the plug yet. So yeah, operating in that Ruach will cause you to, just like he with the parable with the my bad, I don't know if you're going there.
Don't matter.
The parable with the two servants. One got his debt forgiven and then the other one didn't. He yoking all up on the man, choking them all up, doing all of that, operating in Ruach of anger.
Mm-hmm.
And because you had that towards your brother, now everything that I had overlooked on you, you forcing me to have to put on your head.
Those are the type of points we need to remember, because no man, woman, child, you go to Romans, you find the scripture. There's nothing that can take from you what the Heavenly Father is giving you. But you can't make the mistake of putting it down in pursuit of something else, something that's not even to the benefit. We need to understand these spiritual guidelines so that when the enemy comes in like a flood, as if you hadn't already started, but when it really gets swampy, we don't forsake our own help because of a moment where we felt like it was the last straw and I'm just going to act out this moment and recover. And we may not be able to recover. Cease from anger and forsake wrath. Fret not thyself in any wise to do evil. My take on it, to add to, I'm in a complete agreement with what has been said. I take nothing away from those inputs. But to add to it, Psalm 24, 3-5. I'm going to string a few scriptures together to try and make a point. Psalm 24, verse 3. Who shall ascend into the hill of the Adonai, or who shall stand in his holy place? He that hath clean hands and a pure heart, who hath not lifted up his soul unto vanity, nor sworn deceitfully. He shall receive the blessing from the Adonai and righteousness from the allure of his salvation. Clean hands and a pure heart. It's kind of hard to maintain that if you're angry and wrathful. You could have been done wrong, but if you make haste in this time of trouble and you dirty up your garment, your hands, now your intentions ain't pure because you want vengeance when it don't belong to you. You forsook that when you asked for forgiveness of your sins. Now you are unjustified and about to not even be defended and be left to your own devices that are about to get you a consequence from on high. When you could have just ate that, knowing that the Father is just, he's going to balance out the scales. But you got to wait on his timing. In the meantime, focus on things that you're grateful for so that you can step away from the edge and not take that leap or plunge into the abyss. Next script, Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 1, 1-5. Reasons why it's not to our benefit to be angry or wrathful, even in the midst of an assault. Wisdom of Solomon, or in some places it's just titled Wisdom. Chapter 1, verse 1-5. It says, love righteousness. According to, what's that, 1 John 5:3, 1 John something. To love is to obey, to do. Obey righteousness. Operate within the mode of operandi of righteousness. Ye that be judges of the earth. Think of the Adonai with a told heart, and in simplicity of heart seek him. Don't seek him like, yeah, I'll do that when he do this. Yeah, I'll give him that when he give me this. No, seek him for who he is. In simplicity of heart. That way the enemy can't trip you up in the complexity of how you trying to lay things down. Love righteousness, ye that be judges of the earth. Think of the Adonai with a told heart, and in simplicity of heart seek him. For he will be found of them that tempt him not, and shows himself unto such as do not distrust him. For froward thoughts, or willingly perverse thoughts, separate from allure and his power. We have to remember that. It's not our power. We're looking to show ourselves strong in his might. So don't get tricked out of being able to tap into that. Like I'm trying to build up to a point without being able to just show it clearly in scriptures because it ain't worded that way, but it's almost like portals. When you're in a state of shalom, when you're operating in the fruits of his ruach, you can enter through that portal to tap into his power and bring help back home for the mishpachah and whatever the situation is. But when you're angry, there's a whole nother portal opened up. There's a whole nother door open, and it ain't to him. It's to them things that's causing our torment. but they know only they got torment coming. Mm-hmm. Yeah, coming through like Avengers New York scene. And that's what it is. But because we see in this carnal plane most of the time, these things don't even come to mind when we get upset. We think, oh, it's just an emotion. That's energy being released. It's being funneled through you based on the source. Maishayah would say, know what ruach you're operating in. Know which side you batting for right now, because you about to put points up for the other team. Just one moment, let me get through this first slide. For froward thoughts separate from Allure, and his power, when it is tried, reproves the unwise. For into a malicious soul, angry, wrathful, for into a malicious soul, wisdom shall not enter, nor dwell in the body that is subject unto sin. You're prone to sin if you're stuck in a state of wrath and anger. That's why it says, let not the sun go down on your anger. Why? Because you angry that long, you're going to slip up and do something that you're going to pay for. For into a malicious soul, wisdom shall not enter. Remember, we talk about wisdom, but what ruach grants it? It's the same ruach that grants us power. So if wisdom ain't gonna show up because you're angry, you're wrathful, malicious, neither is that power that you need to actually be defended from whatever it is that you're facing. Neither is that power that your spouse or your children need to be defended from whatever the situation is. So we gotta be real tactful and gain control of this flesh, or else it'll be our own undoing. Nor dwell in the body that is subject unto sin. For the Holy Spirit of discipline will flee deceit. We have to notice that when we feel justified in emotions, so I'm going to do, say, whatever I feel like doing, are we operating out of truth? Or are we operating out of falsehood in that moment? Because if the Most High be true, in that moment where we feel justified in doing whatever we want to do, we're operating out of deceit, disqualifying ourselves to be visited by, accompanied with wisdom and power. For the Holy Spirit of discipline will flee deceit and remove from thoughts that are without understanding, and will not abide when unrighteousness comes in. So even if you got the Ruach could dip out on you because of a wrong mindset that could be stemming from a brief moment in time. One place the Messiah said, behold, I give you power to tread on serpents and scorpions. Wasn't that through the Ruach? Zephaniah 4:6. Not by might, so on and so forth. It's imperative that we gain control of ourselves and practice self-mastery.
Because you absolutely just touched on something that just brought to my remembrance. I brought to mind that scripture in Isaiah that talks about how mankind was not made in vain. Mankind was made to be inhabited, period. And so just to add another, I mean, there's infinite answers. I would imagine that, why it does not behoove us or benefit us to be angry or wrathful, but also like you brought out with the Psalms, like who shall ascend to the holy mountain of the Most High? Those are the clean hands and a pure heart. And it's hard to maintain that when you're in anger and when you're in wrath, or when you're acting out of wrath, you're acting out of anger. It's hard to maintain clean hands and a pure heart. And so who will ascend, in that state? So that anger, when you're operating out of anger and wrath, it makes us unclean. Like I brought out the previous time, when you're doing that, it's adding sin on top of sin, and it's making us unclean. And when we are unclean, like you were saying it, but you weren't saying exactly like when we are unclean. Yes, wisdom is going to leave us. Yes, the Most High Spirit is going to leave us, but we're not going to stay uninhabited. No, when we're angry and when we're wrathful and when we're malicious and all of that stuff, we are making ourselves a happy home for unclean spirits. So that's, yeah.
While that thought is returning or just seamlessly stitching stuff together, Isaiah 30:1. Woe to the rebellious children, saith the Adonai, that take counsel, but not of me, and that cover with a covering, but not of my spirit, that they may add sin to sin. It's like sometimes we set our own parameters, like, you know what? Yeah, I'm cool, but if they do XYZ, I'm going to do blah, blah, blah. When those ain't the guidelines the Most High gave us. Taking counsel by another at that point, not of him. We're making a covering for ourselves. We're, protecting ourselves, but not with his Ruach. And he says, woe unto us in that state of mind. And we want to take our time and comb through this because it says the deceitful man have many trains. That wicked Ruach knows men and women in and out, been dealing with us since the garden, knows how to get under your skin. If we don't know how things get under our skin and the jeopardy that is before our face when we are unsure of which way to turn, rather we should just eat that and seek the Father on a response, if any at all is appropriate, or we should just pop off because, well, they don't cross that line that I said nobody's gonna cross. If we don't know what's up for grabs in that moment, then not only will we forsake our own mercy, we might forsake the mercy of our Yaladim, of the children. And that's what the enemy wants. He wants to get past us to get to them. And we need to show ourselves strong so that that don't happen.
Like just that pride, it produces pride. It's just Proverbs 16. Let's see, 17 through 18. The highway of the straight is to turn away from evil. He who guards his life watches over his way. Before destruction comes pride, and before a fall, a haughty spirit. Better to be lowly in spirit with the poor than to divide the spoil with the proud. And that just that part, guard his life, watches over his way. What we were just talking about, just watching over your way, knowing yourself, watching your steps, where you're stepping. That way, you can stay humbled. Even when you have been done wrong, it's not going to bring you into a state of no return, because you have that self-control. Control is like a big word, like, it takes practice, diligence, consistency, a lot of selflessness, and a lot of prayer but mainly just like we were saying, trusting and Yahuwah that he's going to take care of everything. And why do we need to, justify ourselves? There's no need for it. Let Yahuwah deal with it. Apart from that, trusting him that he will deal with it, and not having any evilness in your heart. Oh, it's okay. Not that, oh, who gonna get him? Don't worry, he gonna get him. Not that type of, not that type, but just mainly, okay, well, Father, open his, show whoever's right, show whoever's wrong, and open, my heart or their heart to see the wrong and error, and let, him or I repent, turn from our sins. So basically praying that everyone is staying into the right mindset, not necessarily trying to pray for like a vengeance type thing. So making sure your prayer is pure so Yahuwah can hear you.
Mm-hmm.
Bring your spirit, I was saying, that there be resolution, regardless who right, who wrong, bring resolution to the situation that we may all benefit from it. We may all learn from it. We may all, walk closer with one another and walk closer with the Father, all praises to the Most High. Just
Yeah, like one of those things that's significant about that is more often than not, it's with your Mishpachah. You know what I mean? Like it's with somebody that the Father would have us operate otherwise. Like it's one thing if it's one of his enemies, and we already know what that is. He already done told us, go in there and smash everything that's walking, moving, breathing.
Mm-hmm.
But it's oftentimes that's not the case. Like how many of us are really going out here and dealing out righteous judgment in the land of our captivity, where we don't even have the authority to do so because it's not operating off of the Father's standards and laws. Like one, two, how many of us is really going out here and operating in that? It's not. Like most of the times the anger is just on a day-to-day with somebody that you either one don't know from Adam just in passing because it's a ruach on them that they did XYZ, or with your own Mishpachah, but that's what the point was earlier. I remember now. Oftentimes the anger that we in the wrath that man worketh is really against the Most High.
Come on.
Like we see that many times with our people when they would rise up against Moses, when they would rise up against Aaron, when they rose up and they said what they said about choosing a king with Samuel. Like these things don't be things that be right there in front dealing with the person in front. You might think they are. You might think that's what you're upset with, but nine times out of 10, it don't have nothing to do with that. What it really is you upset with the Father because he's having his will and his will is not going how you want your will to go. Mm-hmm. That's really what it is. Like you can accept even when you got to take a loss for righteousness' sake. You can accept that when you right there where you need to be with him. But when you're not, then yeah, you're gonna be mad at what you think is causing.
Mm-hmm. Precisely.
And now you operating out of his will because his will was for him to receive some esteem through being able to vindicate you in that situation. But now, instead of that, oh, you just don't win. And now you done made me be against you because you put your faith and your trust in that instead of what I was trying to work because you didn't see it on the back end.
Mm-hmm. You can't see it.
Mm-hmm. So instead of a show of strength in the Father's Ruach, instead we display an open show of distrust. Mm-hmm. And then when we sin, him not being a respecter of persons, unless he just gonna ignore everybody's sin, how can he ignore ours? Mm-hmm. For his name's sake, he can't do that.
It's not partial.
That's right. All praises. Yeah. It's things that Times and season will try and convince us to forget, but it behooves us to remind ourselves and one another daily, so that as we practice, when it's game time, we can perform just as well. All praises. Psalm 37 and verse 9. I'll read 8 again. Cease from anger and forsake wrath. Fret not thyself in any wise to do evil, for evil shall be cut off. But those that wait upon the Adonai, they shall inherit the earth. For yet a little while, and the wicked shall not be. Yea, thou shalt diligently consider his place, and it shall not be. But the meek shall inherit the earth, and shall delight themselves in the abundance of peace. The wicked plotteth against the just, and gnasheth upon him with his teeth. Any of y'all done been gnashed upon? Any of y'all done gnashed on others? All right, we're gonna move on before the truth come out. Yeah, I've been guilty of both. That's the thing, like when working on a project, try to make that plain. It's called gossip. But it's things that you listen to, gotta be careful. The wicked plotteth against the just, and gnasheth upon him with his teeth. The Adonai shall laugh at him, for he seeth that his day is coming. That's the point. Judgment is just up ahead. It's almost like a finish line in a race, literally where the race is going to finish. And if we don't realize how important it is to deviate our course so that we can finish on the right hand and not on the left, most side is going to laugh at us when we in our flesh thinking that we getting something off, or when others are in their flesh thinking that they getting something off, that they done told them how it was. The Adonai shall laugh at him, for he seeth that his day is coming. The wicked have drawn out the sword, and have bent their bow to cast down the poor and needy, and to slay such as be of an upright conversation. So when your life is on the right track, yeah, those arrows and those darts from the dark side are going to be coming. Set your heart aright. Prepare your soul for temptation. Their sword shall enter into their own heart, and their bows shall be broken. A little that a righteous man hath is better than the riches of many wicked. For the arms of the wicked shall be broken, but the Adonai upholds the righteous. The Adonai knows the days of the upright, and their inheritance shall be forever. They shall not be ashamed in the evil time, and in the days of famine they shall be satisfied. But the wicked shall perish, and the enemies of the Adonai shall be as the fat of lambs. They shall consume into smoke. They shall consume away. Man, that picture is vivid. You grilling something, fat dripping, and just turning into steam, dissipating. But the wicked shall perish, and the enemies of the Adonai shall be as the fat of lambs. They shall consume away, into smoke shall they consume away. The wicked borroweth and payeth not again, but the righteous showeth mercy and giveth. For such as be blessed of him shall inherit the earth, and they that be cursed of him shall be cut off. The steps of a told man are ordered by the Adonai, and he delights in his way. Though he fall, he should not be utterly cast down, for the Adonai upholds him with his hand. I have been young, and now am old, yet have I not seen the righteous forsaken, nor his seed begging bread. He is ever merciful and lends, and his seed is blessed. Depart from evil and do told, and dwell forevermore, for the Adonai loves judgment, and forsakes not his saints. They are preserved forever. But the seed of the wicked shall be cut off. The righteous shall inherit the land and dwell therein forever. The mouth of the righteous speaks wisdom, and his tongue talks of judgment. The law of his allure is in his heart, and none of his steps shall slide. The wicked watches the righteous and seeks to slay him. The Adonai will not leave him in his hand, nor condemn him when he is judged. Wait on the Adonai and keep his way, and he shall exalt thee to inherit the land. When the wicked are cut off, you shall see it. I have seen the wicked in great power and spreading himself like a green bay tree. Yet he passed away, and lo, he was not. Yea, I sought him, but he could not be found. Mark the perfect man, and behold the upright, for the end of that man is peace, or shalom. But the transgressors shall be destroyed together. The end of the wicked shall be cut off. But the salvation of the righteous is of the Adonai. He is their strength in the time of trouble. And the Adonai shall help them and deliver them. Right on time. Special delivery. He shall deliver them from the wicked and save them because they trust in him. So we have an opportunity moment to moment to bring forth an open show of trust of the Heavenly Father and his ways, or an open display of distrust. We have to remember that's what's going on in the heat of a moment. The enemy wants to keep coming fast and in all different directions so that you can't even see clearly to decipher that's what's happening. Before we get another scripture, I was given a dream 2-3 days ago, and I was told to share it. I think it was 3 days ago. Today's the 15th. Yeah. Stream it on the 12th. Just to give it a title, if a title is necessary, call it Snares and Traps on Every Side. For what I can recall, I was at a gas station in an urban area, scratch that, in a hood near you, not far from low-income housing apartments. Started out like what seemed a normal trip to the convenience store, people buying liquor, lotto, etc. Then it grew terribly dark quickly. Not dark in the physical darkness alone, although it was not well lit either, but spiritually dark, which seemed to be the reason for the low lighting. It's like an aggressive spiritual wickedness that was all around that area. Exiting the store, I noticed people's level of suspicion and paranoia increasing. Like they were looking at me like I was coming to do something to them when I was just going to my vehicle. Distrust may be due to their activities. Maybe they knew they were doing something they had no business doing. I can't say. Next weird thing, similar to the gas station hot food bar with roasted, fried, and grilled meats, except for the setup was outside between the gas pumps and the sidewalk, but closer to the gas pumps facing the street. The display of steaming, supposedly appetizing meats was as long as the gas pumps from end to end, about 3 to 5 feet tall, full of dead stuff. Then I noticed across the way, perpendicular to the road that the meat stand was facing, there was a dog running full speed. There was something abnormal about his pursuit. It was like it wasn't getting tired. It was clearly on a mission. It's just running full-fledged. In a strategic position across from that dog that was running from my right to my left. In a strategic position across from it was a man. He was clearly a hunter, I could tell by the way he was dressed. It almost looked like a safari hunter, like a big game hunter on a safari, or like dude from Jumanji. Along those lines was the way he was dressed. And it was him that had set up the meat stand. So it's like you got this meat stand out, supposed to be appetizing. It's outside the gas station. Clearly, it's not for purchase. It's just sitting out there for folks to come up to, entertain it long enough to be picked off. You got this canine running full speed in pursuit of something, but I didn't know what he was chasing, but he was clearly on a mission. In that moment, I knew that the meat display wasn't set up by the gas station or in support of it. It was a trap, a snare put there by this hunter. Things outside no longer had regard to things within. Like you're on a gas station's property, setting up your traps and your snares. Not worried about no regulation, nobody coming down on you for what you're doing. Is the temperature of what was going on. Establishment no longer had to say so. Guns and those willing to wield them were in charge. Next, what looked like a dog ran up to me so fast it touched me. It touched my torso with its nose before I could prevent it. Like before I could get my hands out to stop it, it was on me. Grabbing his face and pushing it away, I noticed his face, like his nose and jaw area, or his snout, was eaten through by what looked like yellow battery acid. Thing is, I couldn't tell if the acid had been poured on it or if the acid was like oozing from within it, but it was a weird sight. I could tell the dog wasn't trying to bite me, but wanted me to witness his condition. Like if it wanted to bite me, it would have had me because of how fast it hit me. Like I was more startled than anything before I could even get my hands out because I was just looking across the street. Now this thing is on me. Telling someone inside the gas station what I saw, they informed me that the dogs were also known to shapeshift. Shapeshifters, I said in disbelief. They nodded, yeah. Next, two black men are at the door. Store owner goes to the door to confront him. The store owner also happened to be working the store that night. It's a really dark day. Two guys, also black, from within the gas station were on either side of the store owner, trying to reason with the robbers just outside. Only a glass store door between the two conflicting worlds. The two standing within the store next to the owner decided to trust that they could reason with the robbers. And after pleading for the opposers not to do this, don't do this, one opened the door towards the outside. The first one in drew his weapon saying, "Oh, that's what they believe?" And he opened fire. He shot the store owner and the two guys next to him, as if they made a mistake believing that they could receive mercy in that moment. It was rapid. Shot the owner immediately, killing him at close range. The robbers proceeded to shoot at everyone present, including me. No one was off limits. The tone set by the elderly store owner, gunned down, and the barrage of bullets flying. They fired in my direction as well, and I dove on the floor until I heard and saw an opportunity to run outside. They, back outside, fired upon me again, not hitting me. But if it were more than a dream, I'm sure I'd be dead. Somehow I managed to escape on a flatbed tow truck that was delivering some stuff. I don't even know what it was. I just saw it pulling off. I climbed up on a crate and covered myself with a tarp as it was pulling off. Waking up from that dream, I asked the Father, what do I do to escape if caught in that situation? His reply was, you don't. You die. And the gist of it was for us to realize that darkness is on the cusp and for us not to get caught outside of his borders. Because to be outside of his will and his way, we would be foolish to think we're going to receive mercy, especially for those that are set on not showing mercy. Our hope is to make a show of strength in his ruach, that we might be defended in time of need. Other than that, fat chance receiving mercy. Joshua chapter 5, 1 through 15. Joshua 5, 1 through 15. And it came to pass, when all the kings of the Amorites, which were on the side of Jordan westward, and all the kings of the Canaanites, which were by the sea, heard that the Adonai had dried up the waters of Jordan from before the children of Israel, until we were passed over, that their heart melted. Neither was their spirit in them any more, because of the children of Israel. At that time, the Adonai said unto Joshua, make these sharp knives, and circumcise again the children of Israel the second time. And Joshua made him sharp knives, and circumcised the children of Israel at the hill of the foreskins. And this is the cause why Joshua did circumcise. All the people that came out of Egypt that were males, even all the men of war, died in the wilderness by the way, after they came out of Egypt. The first thing, these are men of war. What they doing dying in the wilderness? When we're called to be his, it doesn't behoove us to only trust in our flesh. We have to show ourselves strong in his ruach, or else he'll make sure everything else fails us. Now all the people that came out were circumcised, but all the people that were born in the wilderness, by the way, as they came forth out of Egypt, them they had not circumcised. Wonder if that was just a lapse in communication, or what was going on there? Start trusting something else.
I think that the older generation gave up pretty much caring because they knew they wasn't gonna get in. Because you got to think all of those events that led up to them getting cut out, that was all within the first year and a half, 2 years of their journeys. And then they pretty much was just out there for 38 years. So they knew pretty early on that they wasn't gonna make it in. And so that next generation, like you got to think what else. If that's the case, there's a lot of things that they wasn't doing in the wilderness. Like they not keeping Pesach, not keeping Passover. Can't be, because you got to be circumcised to keep the Passover. So, okay, and if they wasn't keeping Passover, which starts it, then they probably wasn't keeping none of the feast days. They probably wasn't. Like it's just, I think that they pretty much, like, yeah, for lack of a better term, to hell with it.
And clearly, that's how they felt about their offspring too.
Mm-hmm. And what is that? Psalms? Is that Psalm 74? I could be misquoting it. I don't remember exactly where. Like he goes into the breakdown, just like rehashing everything in the wilderness, and he basically says exactly that. Like, no, they didn't care. They didn't care about the kids, the next generation.
That's the part of what's so deep about showing strength in his might is you gotta consider the next generation. You might get X'd out,
Mm-hmm.
but if you don't forsake him, you might be redeemed through them.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. It's about bloodlines with the Heavenly Father.
Mm-hmm.
I think Psalm 107 goes into about that, about those things. Some of them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Picking up at verse 6, Joshua chapter 5. But the children of Israel walked 40 years in the wilderness, till all the people that were men of war, which came out of Egypt, were consumed, because they obeyed not the voice of the Adonai, unto whom the Adonai sware he would not show them the land, which the Adonai sware unto their fathers, that he would give us, a land that flows with milk and honey. And their children, whom he raised up in their stead, them Joshua circumcised. For they were uncircumcised, because they had not been circumcised by them by the way. And it came to pass, when they had done circumcising all the people, that they abode in their places in the camp, till they were whole. And the Adonai said unto Joshua, This day have I rolled away the reproach of Egypt from off you. Wherefore the name of this place is called Gilgal unto this day. And the children of Israel encamped in Gilgal, and kept the Passover on the 14th day of the month at even in the plains of Jericho. I think it's significant that that's mentioned there. I think it reinforces your point that they hadn't been on it. Couldn't have been on it, especially in that time under that priesthood. 11. And they did eat of the old corn of the land on the morrow after the Passover, unleavened cakes and parched corn in the self same day. And the manna ceased on the morrow after they had eaten of the old corn of the land. Give you fields you didn't plant, houses you didn't build. Neither had the children of Israel manna any more, for they did eat of the fruit of the land of Canaan that year. And it came to pass when Joshua was by Jericho, that he lifted up his eyes and looked, and behold, there stood a man over against him with a sword drawn in his hand. And Joshua went unto him. You got beef, son? Or you got that chicken ramen? Stop. Lifted up his eyes and looked, and behold, there stood a man over against him with a sword drawn in his hand. And Joshua went unto him and said unto him, Art thou for us or against, art thou for us or for our adversaries? And he said, Nay, but as captain of the host of the Adonai am I now come. And Joshua fell on his face to the earth and did worship and said unto him, What saith my Adonai unto his servant? And the captain of the Adonai's host said unto Joshua, Loose thy shoe from off thy foot, for the place where thou standest is holy. And Joshua did so. Psalm 78, all praises. In your leisure, go read Psalm 78. See just how bad we messed up. Are you for us or for our adversaries? The man was able to see a Malachim. Why? In context of the lesson.
I would say because, all that many years ago, he was one of the ones that had shown himself mighty in the Most High. And so he was able to recognize another mighty one in the Most High, or at least not necessarily another mighty one, but he was able to, since he had shown himself mighty unto the Most High, the Most High was able to treat him like a friend, or was able to treat him, in such a way as he was not able to do with others, and allow him to see the captain of his host that he had sent on their behalf.
That's bringing me back to Joshua or Joshua, chapter 1, where it says verse 1, it says, it came to be after the death of Moshe, the servant of Yahuwah, that Yahuwah spoke to Joshua, son of Nun, the assistant of Moshe, saying, and then if you go jump down to verse 6, he told him to be strong and courageous, for you are to let this people inherit the land which I swore to their fathers to give them. Only be strong and be very courageous to guard, to do according to all the Torah which Moshe, my servant, commanded you. Do not turn from it right or left, so that you act wisely wherever you go. Do not let this book of Torah depart from your mouth, but you shall meditate on it day and night, so that you guard to do according to all that is written in it. For then you shall make your way prosperous and act wisely. Again, he says it again, be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid, nor be discouraged, for Yahuwah your Elohim is with you wherever you go. So in that type of mindset, to me, that would explain why he was able to see that Malachim, or because he was operating in the way Yahuwah told him to do, which was be strong, courageous, do all according to what I have mentioned in Torah. And then your way will be prosperous and you don't have to worry because I'm with you. So if we take on that same type of mindset, well, then there you go. That explains it.
I don't know, praises. One way or another, the Father will give you the encouragement you need if you're doing what he's asking for you to do. Go back to the point that you brought up earlier about Elisha praying that the eyes of the young man might be open. Elisha could clearly see it, but not everybody is privy to that. He's able to see things in the Morocco plane for him. Serving the Most High in Ruach and in truth. Let's grab Daniel chapter 10. It's another example. We'll read 1 through 14. Daniel 10, 1 through 14. Daniel chapter 10 and verse 1. In the 3rd year of Cyrus, king of Persia, a thing was revealed unto Daniel, whose name was Belshazzar. And the thing was true, but the time appointed was long. And he understood the thing and had understanding of the vision. In those days, I, Daniel, was mourning 3 full weeks. I ate no pleasant bread, neither came flesh nor wine in my mouth. Neither did I anoint myself at all, till 3 whole weeks were fulfilled. And in the 24th day of the 1st month, as I was by the side of the great river which is Hiddekel, then I lifted up mine eyes and looked, and behold, a certain man clothed in linen, whose loins were girded with fine gold of Uphaz. His body also was like the beryl, and his face as the appearance of lightning, and his eyes as lamps of fire, and his arms and his feet like in color to polished brass, and the voice of his words like the voice of a multitude. And I, Daniel, alone saw the vision, for the men that were with me saw not the vision, but a great quaking fell upon them, so that they fled to hide themselves. Garden, fled at his coming. When we're operating in our flesh, when we're operating from that base state, that lowest state of our being, when we're not operating high vibrations, for another way of putting it, we're discomforted by his presence and we flee. Rather it's through evasion in the mind or physically fleeing. You won't be able to remain in his presence. You might notice when you're operating in the right ruach, certain ruachs are just straight up vexed by you being around, and you ain't done anything wrong to them. But the ruach that is accompanying a person can't stand your presence because you draw something else near them, reminding them of imminent destruction. And I, Daniel, alone saw the vision, for the men that were with me saw not the vision, but a great quaking fell upon them, so that they fled to hide themselves. Therefore I was left alone and saw this great vision, and there remained no strength in me. So even for the upright, it's hard to stand in his presence. For my comeliness was turned into corruption, turned in me into corruption, and I retained no strength. Yet I heard the voice of his words, and when I heard the voice of his words, then was I in a deep sleep on my face, and my face toward the ground, and behold, an hand touched me, which set me up upon my knees and upon the palms of my hands, and said unto me, O Daniel, a man greatly beloved, understand the words that I speak unto thee, and stand upright, for unto thee am I now sent. And when he had spoken this word unto me, I stood trembling. Then said he unto me, Fear not, Daniel, for from the first day that thou didst set thine heart to understand, and to chasten thyself before thy Lord, thy words were heard, and I am come for thy words. But the prince of the kingdom of Persia withstood me 21 days. But lo, Michael, one of the chief princes, came to help me, and I remained there with the kings of Persia. Now am I come to make thee understand what shall befall thy people in the latter days. For yet the vision is for many days. They were walking or dwelling in the Ruach with Abba, and able to see these in the Ruach realm. That in itself is a show and strength. Notice also in Daniel 10:12-13, the sons of darkness can also make a show of strength. Let us be sure that we're scoring points for the right team.
Daniel was so persistent and consistent too. Most would have given up. Well, I don't want to say most, but some would have given up. But mourning for 3 weeks of days until he received an answer. It's almost like he knew an answer was coming. So patience, being patient, being consistent, not doubting or giving up, staying strong, endurance, all those things. Because, it's going to come a time to where some of that may happen to us, that we may be seeking the Father on something, and it may, most times, sometimes it doesn't always come right away. You have to keep staying in the right mindset. It's not that the Father has forgotten, but everything has a time and a place, and he will, send forth the clarity when he chooses to. But it all, he wants you to, make sure we stay focused and wait on him. 12 things come to those who wait on him, and just staying consistent. And that's what Daniel did. It's very powerful.
Multiple times Ezra was told, fast another week, fast another 2 weeks, and I'll come back to you. And I'll tell you some more, and I'll show you some more. Yeah. Something about that state of being. Ephesians 6:14-18. Something about this captivity, a show of strength. Ephesians 6:14. Stand therefore, having your loins girt with truth, and having on the breastplate of righteousness, and your feet shod with the preparation of the gospel of peace. Above all, taking the shield of faith, wherewith you shall be able to quench all the fiery darts of the wicked. Only believe. And take the helmet of salvation and the sword of the Ruach, which is the word of Yah, praying always with all prayer and supplication in the Ruach, and watching thereunto with all perseverance and supplication for all saints. There are some things that prevent us from taking the whole armor of Yah. It will cause us to show forth weakness instead of strength. Most, if not all, persons have a struggle in their flesh. For most of these issues, a powerful remedy is fasting and prayer. You can customize your fast as needed. One that has worked for me is from the time that I rise till 6 p.m., only water or liquids. If you know you got a heavy day ahead of you, it's going to be physically demanding. And that time, nutrients or vitamins is acceptable. But when you do your best to stay away from the hearty drinks, like smoothies and whatnot, you still get told results. I have at least benefited from the time I rise, 6 p.m., sticking only to liquids, primarily water. 3 days in a week, repeating that for 4 weeks minimum. The thing is, test will come whether or not we're fasting, and weakness will be exposed in the presence of the Almighty in his camp. When it pertains to you, recognize your weak spots. And when you see them, confess to Ab Yahuwah in agreement with what he's trying to show you. I've noticed it's easier to recognize during a fast most times. You're not lulled to sleep, so to speak, in the comforts of your flesh getting what it wants. Ask him to help you identify the root system of your weak areas and remove them. Master yourself. This is showing yourself strong in him. The more we deny the flesh when it tries to rise up, the stronger we become against it. Rinse and repeat, you'll continue to get told results. We hit Baruch 5, 1 through 9 last week. Let's skip that. Let's grab Job 29, 11 through 17. Job 29, 11 through 17. Yeah, in that state of fasting and prayer, your connectivity with the Father increases because your flesh ain't getting in the way. And it's a lot easier to recognize, like, no, wait, that is there. When your flesh is contented and your mind's in agreement with your flesh being contented, you overlook a whole lot pertaining to yourself. It's always easier to see those things outside of you, which are necessary so that you can help another. First, we got to get the beam out our own eye so that we're not partial. We actually have a pure heart and clean hands. Job 29 and 11. When the ear heard me, then it blessed me. When the eye saw me, it gave witness to me. Because I delivered the poor that cried, and the fatherless, and him that had none to help. Definitely something to highlight if you want to know how to please the Most High. Work in those grooves. Because I delivered the poor that cried, and the fatherless, and him that had none to help. The blessing of him that was ready to perish came upon me. And I caused the widow's heart to sing for joy. I put on righteousness, and it clothed me, and my judgment was as a robe and a diadem. Similar to what it says in Baruch 5, where it's instructing Israel to put off your lamentation. Yep. Put on righteousness, put a diadem about your head. These are the things it's talking about. It's how it's done. I put on righteousness and it clothed me, and my judgment was as a robe and a diadem. And I was eyes to the blind, and forgive me. And I was eyes to the blind, and feet was I to the lame. And I was a father to the poor. And the cause which I knew not, I searched out. And I break the jaws of the wicked and pluck the spoil out of his teeth. Big shoes to fill. There's the lot of Israel. Let's get Sirach 32, 15 and 16.
I was thinking too, like some people, when you see the poor, you think instantly, oh, the homeless. But there's so much of us poor and fatherless and need of help within our own nation. You know, some people may, oh, I don't know how to do that. Do I just go to a homeless and say, do you need help? Well, start with the people within your community, you know, the people that you know of, you know, within the nation of Israel or without, whichever. I'm just saying, like, start with the people around you. It doesn't always have to be, you know, out. It can be someone near you, somebody you know of, somebody you know, like, yeah.
Get you first. Get your house together first. And also that poor, it could be relating to the Ruach. It could be poor in understanding, poor in wisdom, so they're getting misused because of what they don't know, rather by a person or by a Ruach. (15 and 16). Sirach 32, 15 and 16. He that seeketh the law shall be filled therewith, but the hypocrite will be offended thereat. They that fear the Adonai shall find judgment, and shall kindle justice as a light. That's what we're called forth to do. Kindle justice as a light. Make a show of strength by lifestyle. So conversation. Show yourself strong in Adonai. Get intimate and know your allure. Wisdom of Solomon 18. But before we get that, we must know with the Father, it is about being welcomed into his camp. We don't invite ourselves. We'll get a couple examples. Genesis 2, verses 7 and 8. It's by invite only. And the Adonai, Elua formed man of the dust of the ground and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life. And man became a living soul. And the Adonai Elua planted a garden eastward in Eden, and there he put the man whom he formed. This man was welcome. He didn't climb in by another way. He's not a murderer, thief, or robber by his presence in the garden. Genesis 4 and 7. If thou doest well, shall thou not be accepted? Can't you get the same welcome if you do well? And if thou doest not well, sin lies at the door. And unto thee shall be his desire, and thou shalt rule over him. Commanded to rule over sin, that things be not out of course. Flashback to Genesis 3. Jeremiah 1 and 5. Jeremiah 1 and verse 5. Before I formed thee in the belly, I knew thee. And before thou camest forth out of the womb, I sanctified thee, and I ordained thee a prophet unto the nations. Again, welcome. Welcome into the Most High's camp. Acts chapter 10, 1 through 6. Thou doest well, will not thou be accepted? Acts 10, 1 through 6. There was a certain man in Caesarea called Cornelius, a centurion of the band called the Italian band. Dark skin Italians. A devout man, and one that feared Elua with all his house, which gave much alms to the people, and prayed to Elua always. He saw in a vision, evidently about the 9th hour of the day, an angel of Yahuwah coming into him and saying unto him, Cornelius. And when he looked on him, he was afraid and said, What is it, Adonai? And he said unto him, Thy prayers and thine alms are come up for a memorial before Yah. And now send men to Joppa, and call for one Simon, whose surname is Peter. He lodgeth with one Simon, a tanner, whose house is by the seaside, and he shall tell thee what thou oughtest to do. Now here's a man of the nations, a centurion of the band called the Italian band, who's been welcomed because he did well. With the Father, is about being welcomed into his camp. We don't invite ourselves. For whatever reason you're called, you must continue to seek the Father in humility, fasting, and prayer to inquire of Abba, where in his camp you belong and what is your function. Because once welcomed in, it's now about submitting yourself in humility to your role and function as to avoid overstepping boundary lines. At this point, it's about not getting kicked out of Yahuwah's camp, not having things lingering in you that would get you kicked out of camp, which could mean death of many different forms. Let's see Jeremiah 35, 1 through 19. Jeremiah 35, 1 through 19. And the word which came unto Jeremiah from the Adonai in the days of Jehoiakim, the son of Josiah, king of Judah, saying, Go unto the house of the Rechabites, and speak unto them, and bring them into the house of the Adonai, into one of the chambers, and give them wine to drink. Then I took Jaazaniah, the son of Jeremiah, the son of Abazaniah, and his brethren, and all his sons, and the whole house of the Rechabites. And I brought them into the house of the Adonai, into the chamber of the sons of Hanan, the son of Igdaliah, a man of Yah, which was by the chamber of the princes, which was above the chamber of Maishayah, the son of Shallum, the keeper of the door. And I set before the sons of the house of the Rechabites pots full of wine and cups, and said unto them, Drink ye wine. But they said, We will drink no wine. For Jonadab, the son of Rechab, our father, commanded us, saying, Ye shall drink no wine, neither ye nor your sons forever. Neither shall you build house, nor sow seed, nor plant vineyard, nor have any. But all your days ye shall dwell in tents, that ye may live many days in the land where ye be strangers. Thus have we obeyed the voice of Jonadab, the son of Rechab, our father, and all that he hath charged us, to drink no wine all our days, we, our wives, our sons, nor our daughters, nor to build houses for us to dwell in, neither have we vineyard, nor field, nor seed, but we have dwelt in tents, and have obeyed, and done according to all that Jonadab, our father, commanded us. But it came to pass, when Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, came up into the land, that we said, Come, and let us go to Jerusalem for the fear of the army of the Chaldeans, and for fear of the army of the Syrians. So we dwell at Jerusalem. Then came the word of the Adonai unto Jeremiah, saying, Thus saith the Adonai of hosts, the Elu of Israel, Go and tell the men of Judah and the inhabitants of Jerusalem, Will you not receive instruction to hearken unto my words, saith the Adonai? The words of Jonadab, the son of Rechab, that he commanded his sons not to drink wine, are performed. For unto this day they drink none, but obey their father's commandment. Notwithstanding, I have spoken unto you, rising early and speaking, but you hearken not unto me. I have sent also unto you all my servants, the prophets, rising up early and sending them, saying, Return, ye now every man from his evil way, and amend your doings, and go not after other gods to serve them. and you shall dwell in the land which I have given to you and to your fathers, but you have not. But you have not inclined your ear, nor hearkened unto me. Because the sons of Jonadab, the son of Rechab, have performed the commandment of their father, which he commanded them. But this people have not hearkened unto me. Therefore thus saith the Adonai, Elohim of hosts, the Elohim of Israel. Behold, I will bring upon Judah and upon all the inhabitants of Jerusalem all the evil that I have pronounced against them, because I have spoken unto them, but they have not heard. I have called unto them, but they have not answered. And Jeremiah said unto the house of the Rechabites, Thus saith the Adonai of hosts, the Elohim of Israel, because you have obeyed the commandment of Jonadab your father, and kept all his precepts, and have done according to all that he hath commanded you. Therefore thus saith the Adonai of hosts, the Elohim of Israel, Jonadab, the son of Rechab, should not want a man to stand before me forever. So if a man in the earth can command his sons to obey, and if he is supposed to be our father in the Shamayim, he's basically saying what the problem is. If they can obey a father in the earth, and here I am supposed to be greater, what's y'all's problem? So it sounds like open display of distrust, show of weakness. Let's get Malachi, first chapter, 6 through 8. Malachi chapter 1, 6 through 8. Malachi 1 and 6. A son honoreth his father, and a servant his master. If then I be a father, where is mine honor? And if I be a master, where is my fear? Saith the Adonai of hosts unto you, O priest that despise my name. And ye say, wherein have we despised thy name? Ye offer polluted bread upon mine altar, and ye say, wherein have we polluted thee? In that ye say, the table of the Adonai is contemptible. And if you offer the blind for sacrifice, is it not evil? And if you offer the lame and sick, is it not evil? Offer it now unto thy governor. Will he be pleased with thee? Or accept thy person, saith the Adonai of hosts? Again, once you've made it into the camp of the Most High, it's about not getting kicked out. Rather, it's through the wiles of the devil, emotions, or just the times in general. Once you've made it in and done what was necessary to get in, it's about not getting kicked out. Acts chapter 4. We'll read verses 29 through chapter 5 and verse 11. Acts chapter 4 and 29. Acts 4 and 29. And now, Adonai, behold their threatenings, and grant unto thy servants that with all boldness they may speak thy word, by stretching forth thine hand to heal, and that signs and wonders may be done by thy name, by the name of thy holy child, Yahushua. All praises. There it is. By stretching forth your hand to heal, that signs and wonders may be done by the name of your holy son, Yahushua. And when they had prayed, the place was shaken where they were assembled together, and they were all filled with the Ruach HaKodesh, and they spoke the word of Yahuwah with boldness. And the multitude of them that believed were of one heart. And the multitude of them that believed were of one heart and one soul. Neither said any of them that all of the things which he possessed was his own, but they had all things common. And with great power gave the apostles witness of the resurrection of Adonai Yahusha, and great grace was upon them all. Neither was there any among them that lacked. For as many as were possessors of land or houses sold them, and brought the prices of the things that were sold, and laid them down at the apostles' feet. And distribution was made unto every man according as he had need. And Joseph, who was of the apostles, was surnamed Barnavi, which is being interpreted, the son of prophecy, a Levite of the country of Cyprus, having land, sold it and brought the money and laid it at the apostles' feet. Acts 5 and 1 through 11. But a certain man named Yahu and Sipporah, his woman, sold a possession and kept back part of the price. His woman also being privy to it, and brought a certain part and laid it at the apostles' feet. But Kepha said, Yahu, why has Satan filled your heart to lie to the Ruach HaKodesh, and to keep back part of the price of the land? While it remained, was it not your own? And after it was sold, was it not in your own power? Why have you conceived this thing in your heart? You have not lied unto men, but unto Yah. And Yahu, hearing these words, fell down and gave up his Ruach. And great fear came on all them that heard these things. And the young men arose and wound him up and carried him out and buried him. And it was about the space of 3 hours after, when his woman, not knowing what was done, came in. And Kepha answered unto her, Tell me whether you sold this land for so much. And she said, Yea, for so much. Then Kepha said unto her, How is it that you have agreed together to tempt the Ruach of Yahuwah? Behold, the feet of them which have buried your man are at the door, and shall carry you out. Then fell she down straightway at his feet, and yielded up her Ruach. And the young man came in and found her dead, and carrying her forth, buried her by her man. And great fear came upon all the called out assembly, and upon as many as heard these things. At this point, it's about not getting kicked out of Yahuwah's camp, not having things lingering in you that will get you kicked out of the camp of Yahuwah, which could mean death of many different forms. Now, Wisdom of Solomon 18, we'll start at verse 1. We will go through chapter 19 and verse 8. Wisdom of Solomon 18 and 1 through 19 and 8. Wisdom of Solomon 18. Nevertheless, thy saints had a very great light, whose voice they hearing, and not seeing their shape, because they also had not suffered the same things. They counted them happy. But for that, did not they hurt them now, of whom they had been wronged before? They thanked them and besought them pardon, that they had been enemies. instead whereof thou gavest them a burning pillar of fire, both to be a guide of the unknown journey and a harmless sun to entertain them horribly. For they were worthy to be deprived of light and imprisoned in darkness, who had kept thy son shut up, by whom the uncorrupt light of the law was to be given unto the world. And for sake of time, I didn't want to read chapter 17, but basically chapter 17 is talking about the torment that fell on the Egyptians. It was a mental anguish. They were forecasted the darkness that would soon swallow them up. They were shown the reasons that they were about to be tormented and the torments that they were going to face, to where someone were brought up in the fetal position at the sound of animals walking by, but to them it was like grievous beasts and things gnashing at them with their teeth. But to others from the outside, it wasn't anything to be afraid of. But that's all in chapter 17 of Wisdom of Solomon. For they were worthy to be deprived of light and imprisoned in darkness, who had kept thy son shut up, by whom the uncorrupt light of the law was to be given unto the world. And when they had determined to slay the babes of the saints, one child being cast forth and saved to reprove them, thou tookest away the multitude of their children and destroyed them altogether in a mighty water. Of that night were our fathers certified afore, that assuredly knowing unto what oaths they had given credence, they might afterwards be of told cheer. So of thy people was accepted both salvation of the righteous and destruction of the enemies. We are at 18 and verse 8. Wisdom of Solomon 18 and verse 8. No worries. For wherewith thou did punish our adversaries, by the same thou did glorify us, whom thou hast called. For the righteous children of told men did sacrifice secretly, and with one consent made a holy law, that the saints should be alike partakers of the same Tob and evil, the fathers now singing out the songs of praise. But on the other side, there sounded an ill according cry of the enemies, and a lamentable noise was carried abroad for children that were bewailed. The master and servant were punished after one manner, and like as the king, so suffered the common person. So they all together had innumerable dead, with one kind of death. Neither were the living sufficient to bury them, for in one moment the noblest offspring of them was destroyed. For whereas they would not believe anything by reason of the enchantments. Notice every time Moshe sold a shine, showed forth a sign representing Yahuwah's power, their magicians were there doing something similar, giving them reason not to give credence to Yahuwah. Whereas they would not believe anything by reason of the enchantments, upon the destruction of the firstborn, they acknowledged this people to be the sons of Elul. For while all things were in quiet silence, and the night was in the midst of her swift course, thine almighty word leaped down from heaven out of thy royal throne as a fierce man of war into the midst of the land of destruction, into the midst of a land of destruction, and brought thine unfeigned commandment as a sharp sword, and standing up, filled all things with death. And it touched heaven, but it stood upon the earth. Then suddenly visions of horrible dreams troubled them sore, and terrors came upon them unlooked for, and one thrown here and another there, half dead, showed the cause of his death. For the dreams that troubled them did foreshow this, lest they should perish and not know why they were afflicted. They were vexed with grievous visions of what they're about to suffer and why. Yea, the tasting of death touched the righteous also. And there was a destruction of the multitude in the wilderness, but the wrath endured not long. For then the blameless man made haste and stood forth to defend them, and bringing the shield of his proper ministry, even prayer, and the propitiation of incense, set himself against the wrath, and so brought the calamity to an end, declaring that he was thy servant, showing forth strength. Declaring that he was thy servant, so he overcame the destroyer, not with strength of body, nor force of arms, but with the word subdued he him that punished, alleging the oaths and covenants made with the fathers. It's a powerful thing that took place. Extremely powerful thing that took place. For when the dead were now fallen down by heaps, one upon another, standing between, he stayed the wrath and parted the way to the living. For in the long garment was the whole world. Remember, at one point, the whole world was in the ark. For in the long garment was the whole world, and in the 4 rows of the stones was the glory of the Father's graven, thy majesty upon the diadem of his head. Unto these the destroyer gave place, and was afraid of them, for it was enough that they only tasted of the wrath. That's powerful, because I believe it's in Ecclesiastes chapter 8. Basically says no man has power to stay the spirit of the Most High when it comes to his judgments. But here, a man stood up against the destroyer, not against him, but stayed the judgments because of his position in the Almighty, showing himself strong in the Ruach of the Most High, which is what we're being called forth and tasked with, to be his representatives in the earth, able to bring shalom where there is none, mercy where there is none. Yeah, it's a mighty, mighty powerful thing that was done in the camp multiple times. Man show of strength in the Adonai and in Yahushua. Psalm 96, 1 through 13. Yes, sir. Psalm 96, 1 through 13. Psalm 96 and 1. Oh, sing unto the Adonai a new song. Sing unto the Adonai all the earth. Sing unto the Adonai, bless his name. Show forth his salvation from day to day. Declare his glory among the heathen, his wonders among all people. For the Adonai is great and greatly to be praised. He is to be feared above all gods. For all the gods of the nations are idols, but the Adonai have made the heavens. Honor and majesty are before him. Strength and beauty are in his sanctuary. Give unto the Adonai, O ye kindreds of the people, give unto the Adonai glory and strength. Part of the way we give that unto him is honoring him above everything else, doubling back, showing ourselves strong in the midst of an assault, trusting him, fearing him. Give unto the Adonai, O ye kindreds of the people, give unto the Adonai glory and strength. Pay thy vows, as it says in another place. Give unto the Adonai the glory due unto his name. Bring an offering and come into his courts. O worship the Adonai in the beauty of holiness. There it is. O worship the Adonai in the beauty of holiness. Fear before him all the earth. Say among the heathen that the Adonai reigns. That's what we say when we're not moved by the ploys of the enemy. Nah, Yahuwah reigns, no matter what this looks like or feels like right now, because this is just a moment in his seasons. Say among the heathen that the Adonai reigns. The world also should be established, that it should not be moved. He should judge the people righteously. Let the heavens rejoice, let the earth be glad, let the sea roar and the fullness thereof. Let the field be joyful, and all that is therein. Then shall all the trees of the wood rejoice before the Adonai, for he comes to judge the earth. He shall judge the world with righteousness, and the people with his truth. Psalm 60, 11 and 12. 6-0. Psalm 60, 11 and 12. Drawing near the end, Joe. Psalm 60, 11 and 12. Give us help from trouble, for vain is the help of man. Through Yahuwah we shall do valiantly, for he it is that shall tread down our enemies. One more time for my own toe. Give us help from trouble, O Yahuwah, for vain is the help of man. Through Yahuwah we shall do valiantly, for he it is that shall tread down our enemies. 2 Samuel 23, verses 1 through 23. 2 Samuel 23, verses 1 through 23. Through Yahuwah we shall do valiantly, for he it is that shall tread down our enemies. Second Samuel 23 and 1. Now these be the last words of David. David, the son of Jesse, said, the man who was raised up on high, the anointed of Yah, of Yaakov, the anointed of the Eluah of Yaakov, and the sweet psalmist of Israel, said, the spirit of the Adonai spake by me, and his word was in my tongue. The Eluah of Israel said, the rock of Israel spake to me. He that ruleth over men must be just, ruling in the fear of Eluah. And he shall be as the light of the morning, when the sun rises, even the morning without clouds, as the tender grass springing out of the earth by the clear shining after rain. Although my house be not so with Eluah, yet he hath made with me an everlasting covenant, ordered in all things and sure. For this is all my salvation and all my desire, although he make it not to grow. What's deep about this is what you brought up earlier, about it's seeming evident that the forefathers in the wilderness gave up when they realized they wasn't gonna get a piece of the cake. So they gave up on everybody that was coming after them too. But here, Dawid plainly says, although my house ain't like this right now, he ain't making it to come forth yet. He done made me an everlasting covenant. And then that is all I'm asking for. And that's where it's at. When you got that mindset, you can't lose, because if the next generation pick it up and run with it, you in there too. Y'all connected by DNA. He said, for one, I will show mercy unto thousands. In another place, he tell you that them thousands is talking about generations. Verse 6, but the sons of Belial shall be as, but the sons of Belial shall be all of them as thorns thrust away, because they cannot be taken with hands. Like you ever, I don't know, I work with trees sometimes and with brush. You ever came across some tree that on the branches, they had thorns sticking out all over the place? Like I was removing some the other day and I almost grabbed a hold of some. I had to watch what I was doing, because you'll injure yourself trying to grab them things. Here's referring to the sons of Belial as them, as such. But the sons of Belial shall be all of them as thorns thrust away, because they cannot be taken with hands. But the man that shall touch them must be fenced with iron, and a staff of a spear, and they should be utterly burned with fire in the same place. These be the names of the mighty men Dawid had. The Tachmonite that sat in the seat, chief among the captains. The same was Adonai, the Eznite. He lifted up his spear against 800, whom he slew at one time. And after him, Eleazar, the son of Dodo, the Ahohite, one of the three mighty men with David, when they defied the Philistines that were gathered together to battle, and the men of Israel were gone away. He arose and smote the Philistines until his hand was weary, and his hand clave unto the sword. And the Adonai wrought a great victory that day, and the people returned after him, only to spoil. And after him was Shammah, the son of Agi, the Hararite. And the Philistines were gathered together into a troop, where was a piece of ground full of lentils. And the people fled from the Philistines, but he stood in the midst of the ground and defended it, and slew the Philistines, and the Adonai wrought a great victory. And three of the 30 chief went down and came to David in the harvest time unto the cave of Adullam. And the troop of the Philistines pitched in the valley of Rephaim. And David was then in an hold, and the garrison of the Philistines was then in Bethlehem. And David longed and said, oh, that one would give me drink of the water of the well of Bethlehem, which is by the gate. And the three mighty men brake through the host of the Philistines and drew water out of the well of Bethlehem that was by the gate. And through Yahuwah we should do valiantly. And took it and brought it to Dawid. Nevertheless, he would not drink thereof, but poured it out unto the Adonai. And he said, be it far from me, O Adonai, that I should do this. Is not this the blood of the men that went in jeopardy of their lives? Therefore he would not drink it. These things did these three mighty men. And Abishai, the brother of Joab, the son of Zeruiah, was chief among three, and he lifted up his spear against 300, and slew them, and had the name among the three. Was he not most honorable of the three? Therefore he was their captain. Howbeit, he attained not unto the first three. And Benaiah, the son of Jehoiada, the son of a valiant man, of Kabzeel, who had done many acts, he slew 2 lion-like men of Moab. He went down also and slew a lion in the midst of a pit in time of snow. And he slew an Egyptian, a goodly man, and the Egyptian had a spear in his hand. But he went down to him with a staff and plucked a spear out of the Egyptian's hand and slew him with his own spear. These things did Benaiah, the son of Jehoiada, and had the name among the 3 mighty men. And he was more honorable than the 30, but he attained not unto the first 3. And David set him over his guard. Reading that just to show time past, just like it's possible now. Mighty things are done when you trust in Yahuwah. Not by your abilities alone, but by his Ruach and belief in him. John 7:24. Oh, forgive me. Looking back briefly. At verse 3. I'm going to John 7:24, but before we do, I wanted to read verse 3 again. Of 2 Samuel 23, yes. The Adonai of Israel said, the Rock of Israel spake to me. He that ruleth over men must be just, ruling in the fear of the Adonai. Now we'll briefly grab John 7:24. He that ruleth over men must be just, ruling in the fear of the Most High. The Messiah says, judge not according to appearance, but judge righteous judgment. This goes back to us doing our best not to have our vision skewed by emotions, by environment, by anything inside or outside of us. Matthew 20:25-28. But Yahushua called them unto him and said, you know that the princes of the other nations exercise dominion over them, and they that are great exercise authority upon them. But it shall not be so among you. But whosoever will be great among you, let him be your minister. And whosoever will be chief among you, let him be your servant. Even as the son of Adam came not to be ministered unto, but to minister, and to give his life a ransom for many. You must be just and operating in the fear of Yahuwah. Psalm 106, verse 3. Psalm 106 and verse 3. Blessed are they that guard judgment, and he that does righteousness at all times. Now, let us be cautious that distractions will come in to derail you. if we know that there's a blessing in guarding and keeping judgment and always operating in righteousness, be mindful that things will come in to derail you. Let's look at Sirach chapter 3, 19 through 24. Sirach 3, 19 through 24. Many are in high place and of renown, but mysteries are revealed unto the meek. For the power of the Adonai is great, and he is honored of the lowly. Seek not out things that are too hard for thee, neither search things that are above thy strength. But what is commanded thee, think thereupon with reverence. For it is not needful for thee to see with thine eyes the things that are in secret. Be not curious in unnecessary matters. For more things are showed unto thee than men understand. For many are deceived by their own vain opinion, and an evil suspicion have overthrown their judgment. Now, if your judgment is overthrown, how are you going to be walking in the blessing? So watch out for them distractions that come in the guise of curiosity. I'm just curious, or really is something trying to lead you astray. So that on the back end, you're operating without a clear mind, your judgment's off, now you out of bounds. Don't go chasing distractions and leave what's actually precious vulnerable. There is one seeking whom he may devour. Any of you seen the movie Red Tails? All praises. Well, you'll notice in the movie Red Tails that the German jet fighters would show up to distract the bomber plane's escorts. So they were bombers trying to make it from point A to point B to release their bombs, turn around and go back. Their escorts were also jet fighters. The German jet fighters would show up to distract the bomber plane's escorts. Once the escorts were distracted or eliminated by the jet fighters would double back and destroy the bombers. The escort's only job was to protect the bombers. German fighters would show up, get their attention, and take off. Oftentimes, the white escorts chasing glory would follow behind them, leaving the bombers vulnerable. Bombers will get destroyed. Bombs don't reach target. Men don't make it back home to their family. And here come the Red Tails. They actually stayed on task and got a name for themselves for doing so. But that whole bait and switch, it's the same thing that wicked want to do if we're not careful. And sometimes it's as simple as something as our curiosity. Getting on down, almost done. Isaiah 55. Isaiah 55, 1 through 13. Isaiah chapter 55 and verse 1. Ho, everyone that thirsteth, come ye to the waters, and he that hath no money, come ye, buy and eat. Yea, come buy wine and milk without money and without price. Wherefore do you spend money for that which is not bread, and your labor for that which satisfies not? Hearken diligently unto me, and eat ye that which is told, and let your soul delight itself in fatness. Incline your ear, and come unto me. Here your soul shall live. And I will make an everlasting covenant with you, even the sure mercies of David. I was just reading a little bit about that. Behold, I have given him for a witness to the people, a leader and a commander to the people. Must be just, operate in the fear of the Adonai. Behold, thou shalt call a nation that thou knowest not, and nations that know not thee, shall run unto thee, because of the Adonai thy allure, and for the Holy One of Israel, for he glorifieth thee. Seek ye the Adonai while he may be found, call upon him while he is near. Let the wicked forsake his way, and the unrighteous man his thoughts, and let him return unto the Adonai, and he will have mercy on him, and to our allure, for he will abundantly pardon. For my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are your ways my ways, saith the Adonai. For as the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my ways higher than your ways, and my thoughts than your thoughts. For as the rain cometh down and the snow from heaven, and returneth not thither, but watereth the ground, and maketh it bring forth and bud, that it may give seed to the sower and bread to the eater, so shall my word be that goes forth out of my mouth. It shall not return unto me void, but it shall accomplish that which I please, and it shall prosper in the thing whereunto I sent it. For ye shall go out with joy and be led forth with peace, and the mountains and hills shall break forth before you into singing. And all the trees of the field shall clap their hands. Instead of the thorn shall come up the fir tree, and instead of the briar shall come up the myrtle tree. And it shall be to the Adonai for a name and for an everlasting sign that shall not be cut off. Welcome into his camp. All he's asking for us to do is turn from wickedness in order to be welcome. We had a chance to tap into the sure mercies of Dawid, that everlasting covenant. Surely something to consider in the heat of a moment, because that's what's on the table. No, but that's part of the enemy's tactics, is to get us so distracted that that's the last thing on our mind by the time he hit us with the whammy. That's why too late before it didn't occur.
Or took your anger out or frustration on something else. You thought about it afterwards. That'd be my prayer. Like, Father, cause it to be the first thing on my mind, not the last thing. In the heat of the moment. I be praying that, like, give me strength to think about it instantly. Yeah.
Similarly, as well as just for him to quicken my mind and make my synapses or synapses, there we go, fire in tune with one another, that I'm quicker to recognize his opportunities to be Baruched and be a Baruching. I was just thinking about that earlier today, because it's a situation. I don't know if you like me or anything like that, like situations keep playing in my mind where, dang, I missed that opportunity to do that, or dang, I should have handled that differently, or dang, I should have said, not in a bad way, but I could have said that at that time to that brother or that sister, and blah, something like that. So yeah, I'm right with you. I just be praying Yeah. And so yeah, I just be and I be in prayer, Father, help my synapses like fire on time at the time that I can, bring it, that you can bring it to the forefront of my mind. No, this is how you should operate in this moment. No, this is an opportunity for this. Recognize that I'm quicker to recognize the opportunities in moments. Yeah.
Makes me think kind of about what we were looking at earlier in the lesson of discipline. And like a lot of, at least I find, and no, I ain't saying I got it all figured out, not by a long shot, is getting beat upside my head that allows me to even be able to see it with some level of clarity is from getting whooped on.
Say that.
But a lot of times a lot of things can be avoided by doing legwork ahead of time, being ready so you don't have to get ready. A lot of things can be, a lot of distractions can be eliminated by starting the day off right, by ending the day off right. You can get in a total groove. I was bringing it out earlier about the fasting, there's a reason and an effect that's supposed to be coming forth from that. So yeah, like a lot of it can be just from being disciplined. A lot of things can be eliminated, or sidestep, or you will see it from afar out. You know what I mean? Just from being not deviating off of a disciplined path. Like, nah, we're not going over there. Yes. And stand on that. So anything that is going on over there, you see it from a mile away because nope, that ain't where we was going.
Come on.
And yeah, keeping that in sight. So yeah, discipline. A lot of it can be, you can be on top of a lot of it just from having, your I don't want to say your day laid out, but going through in your meditations, waking and looking forward. Okay, well, what is that opportunity today? Instead of just waiting for it, like go into the day expecting it, looking for that opportunity. Then that way, now it comes and it's not like scrambling, like, okay, where's the so-and-so? Let me get the so-and-so. It's like, oh, nope, I knew this was coming. I was waiting on this.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Just to go along the lines of what you were saying, like I've noticed that like my whole, my mindset of the day, okay, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that. And then like the opportunity that I think is going to be comes in a completely different way. I know now, but at first I didn't. I thought it was a distraction at first, but then I'm like, wait, hold on. Okay. Like for instance, an ACOT, like a phone call from an ACOT, a calling for some type of encouragement or, advice to stay on a narrow path. That's an opportunity for me to be able to, share the truth, the encouragement, the way of Abi Yahuwah. Now, if I'm staying on task, then when the opportunity comes, oh no, I could be able to do it for and then it won't set me all the way completely back to where I'm like, oh shoot, I didn't do this or I didn't do that. So yeah, like I think of that too, like just sometimes within, like for me being home, opportunity comes like when I'm just talking with other Akio and just we talking about the word of Yahuwah and we sharing encouragement and just trying to talk about staying on the path, righteousness. And I said, okay, if I can be a light like that, that's just the Father working within me. Then before you know it, if I could do tov with little, he'll give me more. Not that I desire more. I'm just saying that's how Abi Yahuwah works. And so I'm like, okay, let me stay prepared, disciplined, structured. So then when those things come, I can be able to take care of that, without having to feel like I'm out of the loop. So yeah, like you saying, routines, and just so that way when those opportunity comes, you know, you don't have to, you'll be prepared for it. And then it can flow throughout your day, and it'll be a blessing, a barakah.
The goal being to endure unto the end and Tob standing with the Heavenly Father, we have to develop personal routines for success, which is why it's imperative we identify our weaknesses as He shows them to us so that we learn what to do about it. How do I turn this weakness into a strength? If this is an area I'm weak in, by compensate for that weakness by strengthening this area. Now this can be a strength instead of a stronghold and be used for the toe of somebody else who's weak in that area. Yeah. Second Samuel chapter 7. 2 Samuel 7, 1 through 16. And it came to pass when the king sat in his house, and Yahuwah had given him rest round about from all his enemies, that the king said unto Nathan the prophet, See now, I dwell in a house of cedar, but the ark of Elohim dwells within curtains. And Nathan said to the king, Go, do all that is in your heart, for Yahuwah is with you. And it came to pass that night that the word of Yahuwah came unto Nathan, saying, Go and tell my servant El Dawid, thus says Yahuwah, shall you build me a house for me to dwell in? Whereas I have not dwelt in any house since the time that I brought up the children of Israel, the children of Yasharel, out of Mizraim, even to this day, but have walked in a tent and in a tabernacle. In all the places wherein I have walked with all the children of Yasharel, spoke I a word with any of the tribes of Yasharel, whom I commanded to feed my people. Yasharel saying, Why build ye not me an house of cedar? Now therefore, so shall you say unto my servant David, Thus says Yahuwah Sabaoth, I took you from the sheepcote, from following the sheep, to be a ruler over my people, over Yasharel. And I was with you, and whithersoever you went, and have cut off all your enemies out of your sight, and have made you a great name, like unto the name of great men that are in the earth. Moreover, I will appoint a place for my people Yasharel, and will plant them, that they may dwell in a place of their own, and move no more. Neither shall the children of wickedness afflict them any more, as before time. And we can look around and see that that hasn't happened yet. All praise to the King of Glory. It is to come. Give us something to hope in, because we ain't missed it. And since the time that I commanded judges to be over my people, Yasharel, and have caused you to rest from all your enemies, also Yahuwah tells you that he will make you a house. And when your days be fulfilled, you shall sleep with your fathers, and I will shut up your seed after you, which shall proceed out of your generation, and I will establish his kingdom. And he shall build a house for my name, and I will establish the throne of his kingdom forever. I will be his father, and he shall be my son. If he commit iniquity, I will chasten him with the rod of men, and with the stripes of the children of men. But my mercy shall not depart away from him, as I took it from Shaul, whom I put away before you. That's deep right there, y'all. Because as a people, we've been chastened with the rod of men and with the stripes of men. But he ain't utterly taking his mercy away from us. Come on. And your house and your kingdom should be established forever before you. Your throne should be established forever. Even the sure mercies of David. According to all these words, and according to all this vision, so did Nathan speak unto the El Dawid. Yeah, it's not plugged in. Isaiah 56, 1 and 2. Isaiah 56, 1 and 2. Thus says Yahuwah, guard ye judgment and do justice. For my salvation is near to come, and my righteousness to be revealed. Blessed is the man that does this, and the son of Adam that lays hold on it, that guards the Shabbat from polluting it, and guards his hand from doing any evil. Matthew 11, 28 and 30. 28 through 30. Matthew 11, 28. Come unto me, all ye that labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn of me. For I am meek and lowly in heart. Place of my meditations. And ye shall find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light. Allah, yeah. Hebrews 5, verses 4 through 9. Hebrews 5, 4 through 9. And no man takes this honor unto himself. Again, we don't invite ourselves in, but we must be invited. And no man takes his honor unto himself, but he that is called of Yahuwah, as was Aaron. And so Maishayah glorified not himself to be made high priest, but he that said unto him, you are my son, today have I begotten you. As he says also in another place, you are a priest forever after the order of Melchizedek, who in the days of his flesh, when he had offered up prayers and supplications with strong crying and tears unto him that was able to save him from death, and was heard, and that he feared, though he were a son, yet learned obedience by the things which he suffered. And being made perfect, he became the author and of eternal salvation unto all them that obey him. Praises to Abihu. Isaiah 53 and 12. It said, behold, come unto me, learn of me, you're going to find rest for your souls. For I am meek and lowly in heart. My yoke is light and easy. He was meek and lowly in heart, even unto the point of suffering, even unto the point of suffering death for the benefit of others. Now here we are at Isaiah 53 and 12. Therefore will I divide him a portion with the great, and he shall divide the spoil with the strong. Don't overlook that. Because he has poured out his soul unto death. He was numbered with the transgressors, and he bore the sin of many, and made intercession for the transgressors. Now here we are with an opportunity to follow in his footsteps, lifting his name on high, exalting him, that men might be drawn unto him, seeing our told works. Proverbs 11 and 16. He shall divide the spoil with the strong. Proverbs 11 and 16. A gracious woman retains honor, and strong men retain riches. Those riches are what are on the line whenever the heat of the moment comes upon us. Those riches that make Yasharel rich, although he sees our poverty in our current state. Those riches being his commands, that if we uphold them, give us access to all that he has stored up, that he has promised. Psalm 133. Psalm 133. Behold, how tobe and how pleasant it is for brethren to dwell together in Yakah, unity. It is like the precious ointment upon the head that ran down upon the beard, even Aaron's beard, that went down to the skirts of his garments, as the dew of Hermon, and as the dew that descended upon the mountains of Sion. For there Yahuwah commanded the blessing, even life forevermore. As you brought up earlier, show strength and unity. We even see it in nature and the animals, who on their own can't defend themselves from the raveners. But together, it's almost impenetrable. Same thing with us when we are careful not to be easily offended, although we may have been slighted. We're giving it to the Father, knowing that it's not going to be overlooked and it's not going to go without punishment. It's going to be corrected. But instead of seeking vengeance, seeking an opportunity to correct one or to recall one to the light who's done slipped into the darkness for whatever reason. For in the unity, Yahuwah has commanded the blessing, even life forevermore. Help somebody not miss out on eternal life. And that will be rewarded. For he said, anybody that's giving one of these small ones a cup of water to drink, they're not going to lose their reward. And it likely is going to cost you in order to give that drink. It's going to cost you in the flesh, but benefit you in the ruach. The ultimate show of strength is to maintain the Most High's covenant relationship and pass it on to the next generation. Let's grab Deuteronomy 4, 1 through 10. 3 brief stops after that, and we will be done. Deuteronomy 4, 1 through 10. Now therefore hearken, O Yasharel, unto the statutes and unto the judgments which I teach you, for to do them, that you may live, and go in and possess the land which Yahuwah Elohai of your fathers gives you. You shall not add unto the word which I command you, neither shall you diminish aught from it, that you may guard the commandments of Yahuwah Elohai, which I command you. Your eyes have seen what Yahuwah did because of Baal Peor. For all the men that follow Baal Peor, Yahuwah has destroyed them from among you. But you that did cleave to Yahuwah or Elohaikim, are alive, every one of you this day. Behold, I have taught you commandments and judgments, even as Yahuwah, Elohai, or Eloah, commanded me, that you should do so in the land where you go to possess it. Guard therefore and do them, for this is your wisdom and your understanding in the sight of the nations, which shall hear all these statutes and say, surely this great nation is a wise and understanding people. For what nation is there so great that has Elohim so nigh unto them, as Yahuwah Elohim is in all things that we call upon him for? And what nation is there so great that has commandments and judgments so righteous as all this Torah, which I set before you this day? Only take heed to yourself and guard your soul diligently, lest you forget the things which your eyes have seen, unless they depart from your heart all the days of your life. But teach them your sons and your sons' sons, especially the day that you stood before Yahuwah Elohika and Horeb, when Yahuwah said unto me, gather me the people together, and I will make them hear my words, that they may learn to fear me all the days that they shall live upon the earth, that they may teach their children. To do this, you have made an open demonstration of power. Because it will not be without adversity that you pull this off. 1 Timothy chapter 2, 14 and 15. 1 Timothy 2 and 14. And also 15. And Adam was not deceived, but the woman being deceived was in the transgression. Notwithstanding, she shall be safe in childbearing, if they continue in belief and love and holiness with sobriety. So it's so deep that the salvation of the woman is hinged on the fact that she raised up children that continue in Yahuwah's ways. Let's see if that's the same for the man. Malachi chapter 2, 11 through 15. Malachi chapter 2, 11 through 15. Yehuda has dealt treacherously, and an abomination is committed in Yasharel and in Jerusalem. For Yehuda has profaned the holiness of Yahuwah which he loved, and has married the daughter of a strange El. Yahuwah will cut off the man that does this, the master and the scholar, out of the tabernacles of Yaakov. So he ain't respecting your person. And him that offers an offering unto Yahuwah Sabaoth. And this have you done again, covering the altar of Yahuwah with tears, with weeping, with crying out, so much so that he regards not the offering anymore, or receives it with toll at your hand. Like he done saw all through your mess. Keep doing the same old garbage and want to come back weeping and giving offerings like you actually sorry. Yet ye say, wherefore? Because Yahuwah has been witness between you and the woman of your youth, against whom you have dealt treacherously. Yet she is your companion and the woman of your covenant. And did not he make one? Yet he had the remnant of the Ruach. And wherefore one? That he might seek a seed of Elohim. Therefore take heed to your Ruach, and let none of you deal treacherously against the woman of your youth, because the whole point of your union is to bring forth Yah-like seed, bring forth Yah-like children. The salvation of the man and the woman is hinged upon this fact. And last but not least, let's grab Isaiah 59, 20 and 21. Isaiah 59, 20 and 21. And the Redeemer shall come to Zion, and unto them that turn from transgression in Yaakov, says Yahuwah. As for me, this is my covenant with them, says Yahuwah. My Ruach that is upon you, and my words which I have put in your mouth, should not depart out of your mouth, nor out of the mouth of your seed, nor out of the mouth of your seed, says Yahuwah, from henceforth and forever. Something about this captivity, a show of strength. Through Yahuwah, we should do valiant. That be the end.
Girding up, taking on courage, putting on strength.
Count. Count. That's what he's after.
Mhm.
To the point to where we don't fumble the ball when it comes to passing off the covenant to the next generation, regardless of what comes against us, regardless of what we're faced with. Challenged with buckling down, realizing what's on the line in the heat of a moment, doing our best to give him glory, show forth strength. Yo.
Yeah, total lesson in my rock definitely feels is uplifted. Definitely. Uplifted and encouraged for sure.
All praises, absolutely, because this lesson, but also with the one you were talking about last week, the virtues that we must, embody and that we must begin to show forth, showing ourselves strong through those virtues. And, like you said, that we don't fumble the covenant again when we're trying to pass it on to our children. Hallelujah. All praises to the Most High. Definitely told the lesson, Ish. Moray Ish.
Our praises. Yeah, excellent toe scriptures. Excellent. Read.
All praises. I think it might be beneficial to at some point if we could make a list of all of these scriptures that, and I'll try to do that. I know I missed some being up and down a little bit, but try to put the list of all of the scriptures, because there was a lot of them. There was quite a lot of scriptures. And so if I could put it like in the description or somewhere in there in the follow-up, so that it can be followed later on and yeah, absolutely reviewed at leisure if anybody wants to watch this again or what have you. But with that being said, all praises unto the Most High. Definitely appreciate the lesson. And I'm grateful for what the Most High have allowed to come forward. And that is all. Then I'm definitely going, may the Most High keep us all. May He make us exponentially more than we are. May it be for our tov. May He hear us also in a time of our distress, because that is absolutely